You just said that a wife is the best. In the next moment, you went from being single forever to being reborn into the body of a scoundrel. He is an abuser who married a famous pop star and even fathered a well-behaved daughter with her. But since the marriage, he was unexpectedly fired from his company. All because of you? You jinx. You couldn't help but complain. At this moment, the mother and daughter, fresh from domestic violence, were trembling on the sofa, with Seraphina holding the child. Seeing you staring at her, she subconsciously pulled Lily closer to her chest. Tears filled her eyes. It wasn't that she hadn't thought about taking Lily and leaving, but she was an orphan herself, and all the family money was in the hands of a demon like you. Seeing their terrified state, you let out a deep sigh, thinking that since you are here, you might as well make the best of it. Then you slowly stood up. You turned on the light, and a warm orange glow filled the room, illuminating the mess before your eyes. You scratched your head in frustration. Then you first opened the window to let some air in. Then you silently began cleaning up the empty bottles in the house. Seraphina remained on the sofa, huddled with Lily, without moving. Only a flicker of surprise passed through her eyes. You did not rush to disturb the mother and daughter. Instead, you took a towel from the kitchen to clean the table, until the entire house was spotless. You were already drenched in sweat, so you took clean clothes from the bedroom and entered the bathroom. Seraphina watched the closed bathroom door. Her tense body finally relaxed for a moment. She looked at the room you had cleaned. Her eyes were filled with intense disbelief. How could this demon have suddenly changed his ways? Mommy will cook for Lily in a moment, Seraphina said softly, stroking Lily's hair. She could only wait for you to go to sleep before she could cook for herself and her child. At that moment, the bathroom door opened, and you stepped out. The mother and daughter sitting on the old sofa. Both shrank back at the same time. You shook your head. Ignoring them, you pushed open the front door and walked out. Her eyes were filled with despair. She and Lily would have to go hungry for another night. Seraphina bit her lip. Mommy, don't cry. Lily thought it was because she was hungry that it made her mother cry. She hurriedly reached out her small, fair hands and clumsily wiped Seraphina's face. The tears fell even harder. After a long while, she spoke softly with a trembling voice. Be good, Lily. Mommy will sing you to sleep. Mommy will wake up early tomorrow to make something delicious for you. Mommy won't cry. Seraphina softly hummed a lullaby to soothe Lily to sleep. Seraphina thought about the hardships she had faced in the 2 years since marriage. Her heart was filled with immense sorrow. She would leave this hell tomorrow, even if she died outside. It would be better than being tortured to death by this demon. Suddenly, the sound of the door lock echoed from outside. Seraphina, still lost in her thoughts, trembled uncontrollably once more. She instinctively covered Lily's ears, listening quietly to the movement outside. Arthur pushed open the door and instinctively looked toward the sofa, but it seemed no one had eaten yet. Arthur stared blankly at the food in his hands. After thinking for a moment, he placed the food on the table. As he walked toward the bedroom, Seraphina's body remained tense. Hearing Arthur's footsteps slowly approaching the bedroom, she prayed in her heart that he would not enter. But in the next moment, I bought food for you both. Come out and eat. Hearing this, Seraphina's eyes snapped open. Then she heard Arthur's footsteps gradually moving away. The room instantly fell silent again. Only Seraphina's nervous breathing echoed in the bedroom. Lily opened her eyes at some point. She had clearly heard Arthur's voice. She was staring curiously at the closed door, and it seemed he had even bought food for her. Thinking of the food, she felt hungry again. She swallowed hard, looking at her mother expectantly. Seraphina looked down at her daughter's expectant eyes. Tiptoeing quietly, she walked to the bedroom door. As she opened the door, the aroma of food from the dining table wafted toward her. Seraphina's eyes instantly welled up. He had actually bought food for her and her daughter. Facing Arthur's sudden kindness, Seraphina felt no joy, but only deep, heartfelt fear. What else does he want from her? Lily ran over on her bare feet, her short legs moving quickly, peering through the crack in the door. Then, her eyes suddenly lit up. She couldn't help but start drooling. But she didn't act on her own. Instead, she looked up. Her big eyes stared unblinkingly at her mother. Seraphina took a deep breath. Then, a smile pulled at the corners of her mouth. She picked Lily up. Let's eat quietly. Lily hurriedly nodded her little head. Inside the room, you naturally heard the sounds outside. You sighed deeply, and after sighing, you began to think about how, after buying the food, there was now only about 1,800 left in the savings. A moment later, you suddenly sat up straight, thinking about how you hadn't realized it sooner. This is a parallel world, after all. Excited, you reached for your phone and began scrolling through it. This world was indeed just like your memories. The cultural heritage and the entertainment industry were completely different from your own world. Some of the tacky songs that made you frown could all be on the trending music charts. One by one, classic songs slowly surfaced in your mind. As you thought, You could only drift into sleep with your exhausted body. At exactly 6 a.m. the next morning, you quietly opened the door and walked out of the bedroom. The dining table and the kitchen had already been cleaned spotless. Seraphina must have cleaned up after eating last night. You stood there for a moment, thinking. Then you quietly went into the bathroom to wash up. You knew Seraphina usually didn't get up to cook until 8 a.m. Because before, you used to sleep until after 10 a.m. Only after you woke up and finished your drinks could the two of them eat your leftovers. You subconsciously sighed again. Seraphina was actually already awake in the room, but she didn't dare to go out. As the door opened and closed, Seraphina pursed her lips, her eyes fixed on the bedroom door, wondering where you had gone again. After waiting for a long time, there was still no movement outside. Seraphina glanced at Lily, who was still fast asleep beside her. After some thought, she mustered the courage to quietly get out of bed and walked out of the bedroom. The smell of alcohol in the room had become very faint. Fresh air was blowing in through the window. The scent was pleasant, making Seraphina feel a sense of unreality. It had been a very, very long time since she had smelled such a fresh scent. Seraphina walked to the window. Looking at the world outside, she unconsciously dazed. It wasn't until this moment that she suddenly remembered she was 24 years old. After an unknown amount of time, Seraphina was startled awake. Then, her whole body instinctively tensed up. As she turned her body mechanically, you also froze there awkwardly. You didn't expect that Seraphina was already awake. After washing up, you realized there was no food left in the house. So I just bought some meat, vegetables, and rice. Both of them were stunned, and only then could you clearly see your wife's face. Very beautiful, much more beautiful than the influencers and celebrities in the original world. However, she was too thin, and her face was excessively pale. It was likely due to malnutrition. Seeing this, you felt a mix of pain, hatred, and awkwardness. It was too cruel. How could such a beautiful wife be treated this way? It was truly despicable. I'll go cook first, you said, breaking the awkward silence. Carrying the groceries, you quickly walked into the kitchen. Seraphina could hardly believe her ears and eyes. He actually greeted her. And since when did he learn how to cook? Seraphina silently watched the figure in the kitchen. A profound sense of grievance surged in her heart. She bit her lip hard, her eyes gradually welling up with tears. How could this be? Pity me. Mommy. Lily woke up at this time. Unable to find her mother, she ran out barefoot. As soon as she came out, her little nose caught the aroma of food. She turned her large eyes toward the kitchen. In the kitchen, you naturally saw the little one, then grinned at her. Unexpectedly, Lily shrank back behind Seraphina in fear. You rubbed your nose helplessly. Before long, the meal was ready. You looked at the two of them, who were still standing stiffly in the distance, and said. Lily was clearly swallowing her saliva. But she still didn't move, and Seraphina also watched the scene with some trepidation. You were somewhat expectant, but seeing their defensive posture, your expectations sank to the bottom of the sea. You fell silent for a moment. You walked into the side bedroom, telling them to finish eating first. Seraphina didn't move, watching the bedroom door close. She looked down at the expectation in her daughter's eyes. She sighed inwardly. Lily, go eat. On the table sat the millet porridge you had made. It was golden and very tempting. There were also 2 side dishes and a small bowl of steamed egg. The moment Lily saw the steamed egg, her eyes lit up. Seraphina was momentarily speechless. She looked at her daughter's expectant gaze. She couldn't wait to scoop a spoonful of egg custard into her mouth. She couldn't wait to scoop a spoonful of steamed egg into her mouth. This is the first time Dad has cooked for me. It's so delicious. Seraphina just ate her meal in silence. Her heart was filled with struggle and confusion. Her gaze unconsciously drifted toward the side bedroom, toward that tightly closed door. You sat at the desk in the side bedroom. You were actually starving. But the mother and daughter outside weren't yet able to sit at the same table as you. You shook these thoughts from your head. Then you took out your phone. You deleted the original account that only had a few thousand followers left. You registered a new account. Habitually, you clicked on the trending music charts on the platform. 7.20 then. In the next moment, your brow furrowed. What kind of trash is this? Trying to pull a last-minute miracle? Even this kind of trashy song can dominate the trending searches. With a plan in mind, you pulled out several long-forgotten music manuscripts from your desk. These were all left behind by Seraphina. You spread the manuscripts flat on the desk. Your pen flew across the paper, writing out the staff notation. In the original world, you were a songwriter. Now, you are simply transporting that talent through time. This small task was no challenge for you. In just a short moment, a complete musical score appeared before you. You impatiently grabbed a guitar from the wardrobe nearby. Then, you sat upright at the desk, holding the guitar. After gathering your emotions, you closed your eyes. The sound of the guitar strings drifted out from the room. Seraphina, who was quietly eating, suddenly froze. He can play the guitar? Seraphina knew very well. At least, he couldn't before. Along with the guitar, your singing slowly drifted out. Because I dreamed of you leaving. Seraphina froze even harder, her eyes filled with disbelief. Even Lily, who was happily eating, was drawn to the singing. She looked toward the closed bedroom door. Lily tilted her head, her big eyes blinking as she stared there. Lily knew this was the first time he had cooked for her. Daddy's voice is so gentle. Even though Seraphina had never heard this song, she could feel how incredible it was. With such a beautiful melody, she could hardly imagine that it was being sung by you. Until the next line of the song began. Seraphina was somewhat overwhelmed and afraid of this person's sudden change. She feared this was all just a fleeting dream. The singing stopped at this moment. Lily also noticed her mother crying. She crawled onto Seraphina's lap in a panic, reaching out her small hands to try and wipe away her mother's tears. "Don't cry, Mommy." Lily thought her mother was in pain again. While helping Seraphina wipe her tears, she lifted her small face and blew air against Seraphina's collar. Beneath the collar, Seraphina's back was covered in scars. You naturally didn't know what was happening to the mother and daughter because of your song. At this moment, you were opening your account, clicking to record a video. You did not show your face in the video, only showing everything below your nose. Holding the guitar, you cleared your throat. This time, you are clearly much more formal, and performed the song through once more. Once the song ended, you saved the recording, and trimmed the extra time from the beginning and the end. Finally, you extracted the audio, paired it with the lyrics, and submitted the copyright online. Once everything was settled, you edited a title. First original song dedicated to the Move family. I hope everyone likes it. Please like and support. The video upload was successful. You let out a soft sigh, thinking that it was finally finished. Next, you would just wait quietly for the public's reaction. In this era, this song was a bombshell. You put the guitar back in the closet. Then you rubbed your hungry, empty stomach. You wondered if the two of them had finished eating. You were so hungry. You finally couldn't wait any longer and gently pushed the door open. Peeking out like a thief through a crack in the door, you happened to see Seraphina carrying Lily away from the dining table. Her eyes were red, as if she had just been crying. She clearly saw you, and after a moment of stunned silence, she quickly carried the child back into the master bedroom. You breathed a sigh of relief, pushed the door open, and walked to the dining table. You could finally eat, seeing the food that had clearly been left for you. You felt a bit happy, then picked up the millet porridge, and began eating large mouthfuls. You cleared all the food on the table. With nothing to do, you took a walk around the room. You looked at the layout of this home. It was a 2-bedroom apartment. It was only 50 square meters, which the two of you had bought together when you married. Everything in the house was arranged back then. These things already looked a bit worn out. You shook your head. It was hard to imagine how Seraphina lived with the child in such an atmosphere. Not going out much for 2 years felt like being in prison. You knew you couldn't change anything for the time being. You could only curl up on the small sofa and fiddle with your phone, searching for how to maintain a home, how to make a child happy, and how to be a good father. The answers online were all over the place. Just then, the door to the master bedroom suddenly opened again. Following the sound, you saw a small head peeking out. Lily tilted her head, staring with almond eyes just like her mother's. She was looking at you curiously. Those bright eyes were full of innocence and clarity. It made your heart melt, but Lily's face was too thin. If only it were a bit rounder. Before, this mother and daughter could only eat leftovers a day, and the little one couldn't eat food mixed with alcohol. The original owner didn't give them any money. They could only survive on irregular meals. You subconsciously wanted to smile, but before your lips could even part, you saw Lily get scared and quickly close the door, scurrying back. The sound of Seraphina soothing the child echoed from inside the room. Your smile froze on your face as you rubbed your nose innocently. Time passed quietly. You put down your phone and stood up. Just then, the bedroom door opened. An expressionless Seraphina emerged from the bedroom, carrying a pile of clothes. She acted as if she didn't see you standing in front of the sofa, walking straight toward the bathroom. You clearly saw her body stiffen for a moment as she came out. Is she going to do the laundry? The clothes you changed out of yesterday were still in the washing machine. Thinking of this, you also walked quickly toward the bathroom. Seraphina was very nervous. She didn't expect you to still be at home. Usually at this time, you would have already gone out to drink with those bad friends of yours. Hearing your footsteps approaching her, she became even more nervous. Her body trembled slightly. My clothes are still in the washing machine. Can I take them out to hang them up first? As Seraphina bent over to open the washing machine door, her body stumbled even more as she retreated toward the bathroom. She was asking for your permission. Her eyes avoided yours, not daring to look at Arthur. Thank you. Her eyes could not hide her anger and heartache. You clearly saw Seraphina's neck just now, with several purplish-red bloodstains. You were tidying the clothes in the washing machine. And without looking at her further, you simply said, "Remember to call Lily out to eat when I'm done making lunch. Lily is asleep. I'll go wake her up in a bit." She seemed extremely flustered. You knew that staying here would only pressure her. You rubbed your nose helplessly, picked up the clothes from the washing machine, and quickly went to the balcony to hang them up. Then you walked into the kitchen and bathroom. Seraphina, holding the clothes, stood frozen in place. It wasn't until the cooking started in the kitchen that she snapped out of it. She tremblingly put the clothes into the washing machine, but her gaze unconsciously drifted toward the kitchen, thinking to herself, what exactly is wrong with him? Seraphina subconsciously rubbed her nose, then suddenly froze again. Since when did she have this habit? Seraphina just stood there in front of the washing machine, listening to the sound of the rotating drum with complex emotions. Once all the clothes were washed, she took them out and went to the balcony to hang them up. Meanwhile, that man was busy working hard in the kitchen. Lily didn't wait for Seraphina to call her. She woke up on her own, her small hand still rubbing her sleepy eyes. The next moment, when she saw you busy in the kitchen, her beautiful eyes clearly lit up. Then, she curiously leaned against the kitchen doorframe, watching your back. After Seraphina finished hanging the clothes, she turned around and saw this scene. Little Lily looked on with great anticipation. Seeing you so busy in the kitchen, Seraphina's emotions suddenly overwhelmed her. She quickly turned around and leaned against the wall, covering her face with both hands as she slowly crouched down. Tears fell silently. This was a scene that only happened in dreams. This time, you still did not eat at the table with them. After placing the food on the table, you hurriedly left the house. Hearing the door close, Seraphina hurriedly wiped the tears from her face. She stood up, picked up Lily, and came to the dining table. No one knew how complex her feelings were right now. Even she didn't know what she was thinking. The food was as delicious as breakfast. The little one was happily eating steamed egg. However, this peaceful lunch for the mother and daughter was soon interrupted by the sound of the door opening. You walked in, carrying a large bag of things. She pushed the door open and walked in. Lily moved closer to Seraphina, the small spoon used for the steamed egg still in her mouth. Her large eyes followed your every movement. You kept your eyes lowered, not daring to look at the startled mother and daughter. You simply walked to the sofa and set the bag down. "I bought some ointment for you. Remember to use it. I also bought a toy for the child. Though I don't know if she'll like it. I saw that other little girls have them. She should have one too." After speaking, you fell silent for a moment. "I know you won't believe me, and I won't hit you two anymore. You and Lily don't need to be so afraid at home. The child is still small. This kind of atmosphere isn't good for her." She felt much better, as if her depression had lifted. Without waiting for Seraphina to respond, you silently walked back to the side bedroom. Seraphina watched your figure disappear. Seeing the door close firmly, she knew even less of what to say. Facing this man's sudden change in just one day, she still found it difficult to let down her guard. In the bedroom, your mood was even worse. Your eyes were red. It was obvious that you had been crying while you were out. If only it were possible. Not knowing everything that happened here, especially seeing those scars on Seraphina, your heart felt so suppressed it was on the verge of breaking. You truly couldn't understand how anyone could hold such great malice toward their own family. They had left some food for you after they finished eating. But when you walked out of the room and saw the things you bought for them on the coffee table, that bag still hadn't been opened. You pursed your lips and sighed. However, just then, Lily poked her little head out. Staring at you curiously, you quickly forced a smile for her. This time, she wasn't scared away. You felt a slight sense of relief, as the soft little girl helped heal your heavy heart. So, you put down your chopsticks. Using all the gentleness you possessed, you softly called Lily's name. Your voice made her body tremble slightly. Instead, she turned to look back into the bedroom. Then, as if encouraged, she looked at you again, and a tender, sweet child's voice came from her mouth. "Daddy." Your eyes instantly welled up with tears. This was the most beautiful sound you had heard since traveling to this parallel world. But Lily tilted her little head, looking strangely at you as you both cried and smiled. You nodded heavily and stood up. Taking the doll out of the bag, you gently waved the doll in front of her. There seemed to be a change in Lily's large eyes. She looked at the doll, then looked back toward the bedroom. After a long time, she finally began to waddle toward you. Your heart pounded like a drum, terrified of scaring the little one who had finally approached you. She walked to your side and lifted her small face. Sniffing hard, she revealed a happy smile the next second. "Daddy doesn't smell bad anymore. Is the doll pretty?" She wanted to take it, but didn't dare, only staring at you intently with her large, dark eyes. You understood her movement immediately. So, you slowly knelt down to her eye level and gently placed the toy in her hands. Lily finally took the toy. Her small finger brushed against the doll's dress. Her eyes immediately curved into crescents. Seeing her joyful expression, Your heart felt a mix of complex emotions, especially when you saw her thin little face up close, and the clothes she was wearing, which were faded from washing, and clearly much too large for her. Your heart ached as if pierced by needles. She is only 3 years old, you thought, biting your lip to quickly wipe away your tears. Forcing a smile, you watched her play quietly. At this moment, there was nothing else in your eyes. Meanwhile, Seraphina in the master bedroom, hearing her daughter's silver bell-like laughter from outside, was already in tears. Not long after, she hugged the doll tightly, glanced at you still smiling foolishly, and ran back to the bedroom. What you didn't know was, at 10 p.m. that night, your video actually climbed to 5th on the trending music charts. At the same time, in the office of Li Xia, the operations director of Douyin headquarters, there was a knock on the door. A technician entered holding a tablet. Director Yang, there is an unusual situation. A single video climbed to 5th on the trending charts in just 2 hours. Which big influencer has failed this time? It's not a big influencer, but a new account registered just today. And the video didn't receive any promotional traffic. The content is just a song. As soon as these words were spoken, Li Xia's expression changed instantly. She immediately opened the trending charts. The result only increased the shock in her eyes. It has actually climbed to number 4. I want to see what kind of song this is. After the song finished, Li Xia fell completely silent. It was the first time she had heard such a beautiful song. She immediately clicked on your profile. Then, she gave Lu Yun an order. Start promoting this video right now. Ensure it trends tomorrow. Lu Yun nodded vigorously, knowing he had made the right bet. After he left, Li Xia listened to your song one more time. Her fingers lightly tapped the tabletop. A moment later, she picked up her phone and sent you a private message. But you were completely unaware of this. You woke up at 5 o'clock, finished washing up, and went out for morning exercise. This body was in worse shape than you imagined. After running for a short while, you were already panting. After an hour, you finally completed 5 kilometers. It was already 7:30 by the time you returned home. You bumped right into Seraphina, who had just finished washing up, as you pushed the door open. Water droplets clung to the strands of hair on her forehead. She was startled when she saw you. You froze for a moment. Is Lily still sleeping? Go check on Lily. And no, just do whatever you want. After saying that, she ran into the bedroom as if escaping. Looking at the closed door, you could only shrug helplessly. After showering, you were starving. The original owner's alcohol withdrawal also began to kick in. You could only drink hot water frantically while cooking to relieve it. Just then, Lily woke up. She was holding the doll you gave her, leaning against the kitchen doorframe, watching you. As soon as you turned around, you saw this little one, immediately giving an anti-smile and asking Lily what she wanted for breakfast. Lily tilted her small head, thinking for a long time, and said she loved steamed eggs. Good, you replied dotingly, reaching out to rub her small head. But you quietly pulled back, afraid of scaring her. No rush, take your time. Lily was accepting you, which gave you hope. Your mood improved so much that even the alcohol withdrawal and hunger seemed to vanish. You put breakfast on the table and, as usual, returned to your small bedroom, letting the mother and daughter eat first. But this time, there was noticeably more laughter coming from outside. You lay on the bed, picking up your silenced phone to check the video's performance. But the moment you unlocked it, the notifications shocked you instantly. You swallowed hard and clicked on your profile. The page showed over 1 million followers. It nearly blinded you with shock, and with an excited heart, you continued to click on the video. Over 2 million likes. The smile on your face could no longer be contained. You were an overnight sensation, and the comment section was filled with nothing but praise. Everyone was urging you to release new songs. Next came the moment to witness your earnings. You opened your back-end wallet, and the number that met your eyes made your jaw drop. A full 320,000, without any advertisements. You earned 320,000 in just one day solely from traffic. Here's a real threat no one talks about. People are getting locked out of their own Gmail, their own Discord, their entire Steam library. And the kicker is, two-factor doesn't save them. This video is sponsored by NordVPN. Sorry to say, the way this works now has changed. Hackers don't steal your password anymore. They steal the cookie that keeps you logged in. Someone opens your Gmail from another country and two-factor never triggers because the session is already approved. You are still scrolling like normal, while someone else is changing your recovery email. The malware that does this gets pushed through sites you would never suspect. Fake game cracks, hijacked browser extensions, even legitimate-looking apps. 2.6 million Chrome users got hit overnight last year from one extension they had trusted for years. This is why I run NordVPN. The threat protection works like a passive skill. It auto-blocks those sites before you can land on them, before you even know the threat existed. What I really keep it on for is the ad blocker. Tracker ads, autoplay videos, the stuff that slows pages down, all gone. The internet just feels lighter. A few dollars a month. First link in description gets you an even better discount, plus 30 days money back. Zero risk. First link in description. Okay, back to it. And it was after tax. You finally breathed a sigh of relief. Now that you had money, life wouldn't be so tight. You had to remember that before, your entire net worth was just over 1,000 yuan. You even had to be careful just to buy groceries. You quickly transferred the earnings to your bank card. Once the two people outside finished their meal, you pushed the door open. You cleared the food on the table in one go. After washing the dishes, you grabbed your phone and hurried out the door. The old residential complex you lived in was bought because it was cheap. You once dreamed of moving to a better house. Unfortunately, the original owner not only squandered all the savings, but even sold Seraphina's phone to buy alcohol. You walked out of the complex and headed straight for the mall in your memory. As soon as you entered, you saw a domestic major brand phone store. A young female clerk's eyes lit up when she saw you and approached. Handsome, are you looking to buy a phone? You nodded and scanned the counter. You have great taste, handsome. The Sky Blue. This is the latest product, the Sky Blue L. It even supports satellite calls. Sky Blue. Do you sell SIM cards here? Is it for your own use? It's for my wife. The clerk froze instantly. There was a strange look of disappointment in her eyes. Good men really do belong to other people. But she didn't hesitate. A handsome man's wife is truly blessed, but the cardholder must come in person with an ID to apply. All right. I didn't realize getting a SIM card required real name registration. Then please just help me install it in the phone. After paying, you left in a hurry. There were still many things to buy. You couldn't waste any more time. Meanwhile, right after you left the house, Seraphina cleaned the entire house. The smell of alcohol was long gone from the house, and the fresh air made her feel exceptionally comfortable. Watching Lily playing happily, Seraphina's lips curled into an involuntary smile. Life was so good, but in the next second, the sound of the door lock turning suddenly echoed, instantly startling her from her thoughts. Lily also quickly scrambled up. Slow down, slow down. Unexpectedly, noisy sounds came from outside, mixed with your familiar voice. Slow down, slow down. Seraphina suddenly felt a bit panicked. She quickly picked up Lily, wanting to head back to the bedroom, but she couldn't help looking toward the door out of curiosity. In the next second, the figures of you and a strange man appeared in her vision, as you were carrying a cream-colored cloud sofa inside. You saw Seraphina's eyes brighten noticeably. With a joyful expression, could you help pour a few cups of hot water? Having had no contact with outsiders for a long time, Seraphina was a bit at a loss. Okay, I'll go pour it right now. The smile on your face grew even wider. Though covered in sweat, you were full of energy. Immediately after, you and the workers moved the new sofa into the room and moved the old sofa out. Then came the TV, the refrigerator, and the greenery. As each piece of new furniture arrived, the house instantly transformed. The house was completely refreshed, and those discarded old pieces of furniture were eventually all sold by Arthur for 800 yuan. Seraphina felt a bit of a sting in her heart watching this, but they were still usable. According to her calculations, they should be almost out of food by now. After seeing the workers off, Arthur carried a large bag back to the living room and looked at his labor of love with satisfaction. Now it finally felt like home. Arthur wiped his sweat. The mother and daughter in the kitchen were still standing there blankly. Lily was hugging her mother's leg, looking left and right. Seeing the little one like this, Arthur's eyes narrowed into slits. He suddenly felt a great sense of achievement. So he took a large pink toy out of the bag and placed it on the coffee table, while keeping his eyes fixed on Lily. As expected, Lily's attention was instantly drawn over her. Arthur reached out and beckoned to Lily. Lily, let's see what Daddy bought for you. But Lily did not run over immediately. Instead, she lifted her small face to look at her mother. Only after Seraphina's lips moved, and she didn't say anything, did Lily slowly walk over. Arthur immediately unwrapped the toy. Lily, do you want to help Daddy decorate the little princess's home? Lily's eyes instantly lit up. She leaned forward even more. Leaning all the way to Arthur's leg, he gave a gentle smile, picking up the little princess from the house. He sighed in a sweet, pampered voice. The little princess hasn't been dressed yet. Dressing the little princess is now Lily's responsibility. While speaking, you held the little princess out to her. Lily blinked her large eyes and tentatively raised her small hand until she touched the little princess in your hands. You kept a smile on your face as you placed the little princess in her hands, and even used your large hand to hold her small hand. The moment her soft, warm little hand was held by you, your lips curled up as you picked up a pink dress to dress the little princess. I'll leave it to Lily. Lily, can you teach your dad? Lily felt the warmth of your palm. She looked at the little princess, then at your pitiful expression. Suddenly, she smiled. Daddy is so clumsy. Lily will teach you. The little one smiled, revealing her tiny white teeth. Leaning against your leg, she clumsily put the dress on the little princess. You smiled along, humbly accepting the little one's guidance, learning how to dress the little princess. At this moment, this small room suddenly became incredibly bright, and Seraphina leaned against the doorframe. quietly watching this beautiful scene. Her eyes gradually grew moist, but you two didn't play for long. You looked up and saw Seraphina staring blankly. Her light blue shirt, faded from washing, was incredibly piercing at this moment. You suddenly narrowed your eyes. This was actually a matching outfit that Seraphina had secretly bought for Lily's second birthday, behind your back. But because of this piece of clothing, she was beaten and her phone was sold. Remembering this scene, you instantly fell silent. The next second, you stood up unsteadily. Covering your mouth, you rushed into the bathroom to vomit violently. Only now do you realize, when looking back at such behavior from a first-person perspective, it creates such a disgusting sense of rage. This sudden change scared the mother and daughter outside terribly. Seraphina trembled and rushed to the sofa, pulling Lily into her arms. Lily burrowed deep into her mother's embrace, fearing that the father, after vomiting, would suddenly rush out to beat and scold them like before. After a long while, you walked out of the bathroom looking disheveled. Your eyes were bloodshot, looking at the frightened Seraphina and Lily. Your heart felt even more pained, and your stomach continued to churn. Weakly you said, "I'm sorry. I just feel a bit unwell." Thinking that you were occupying this demon's body, you felt as if thousands of ants were crawling all over you. Seeing their still wary eyes, you sighed heavily and walked silently into the kitchen. Lily might not be done playing yet. Why don't you play with her a little longer? I'll make lunch. Seraphina looked closely at your profile. So familiar yet so strange. Eventually, she nodded. Sitting back on the sofa with Lily, Lily peeked her little head out. After discovering you were still that gentle father, a smile finally returned to her small face. Until lunch was ready and the aroma of food drifted through the living room. But Seraphina saw that after you brought the food to the table, you silently returned to the side bedroom, unable to say a single word. While eating, Lily held her small spoon, suddenly frowned, and asked her mother, "Why isn't Daddy eating with us?" Seraphina was chewing a small piece of stir-fried pork. It was her favorite dish, but because you cannot eat spicy food, she hadn't eaten it in a long time. Hearing her daughter's question, she unconsciously looked toward the side bedroom, then turned back, smiling brightly like a blooming flower. "That's because Mommy and Daddy aren't ready yet." The little one didn't understand, and her frown deepened. Meanwhile, in the bedroom, you were staring blankly. You kept telling yourself it wasn't your fault, but it still couldn't change the fact that he was you. Helpless, you could only take out your phone to scroll through videos to distract yourself. Your videos were still high on the trending music charts. The comments were all urging you to release new songs. Just then, the sound of dishwashing came from outside. You put down your phone and walked out. Food was still left for you on the dining table. Lily was playing with her new toy on the sofa. Seeing you come out, Lily was not as afraid as before. You smiled and stepped forward to pat her little head. Then you looked toward the kitchen. Seraphina had just come out of the kitchen. Seeing you staring at her, she instantly became nervous, helplessly clutching the hem of her clothes with both hands. Seeing her so submissive and gentle, you couldn't help but frown. It was because of this gentle and reserved nature that the original owner bullied her so relentlessly. Thinking of this, your slight frown instantly relaxed. So you took the newly bought phone from the coffee table and placed it on the table. Looking at Seraphina, your voice was gentle. "See if you like it." Seraphina was originally looking down. After hearing your words, she suddenly looked up at you. First, she met your clean and clear eyes. Then she saw the brand new phone box on the table. Seraphina hesitated for a moment before giving a soft hum of agreement. She slowly walked to the sofa and sat down. Is there something we need to discuss?" Her voice was so light that you had to strain your ears to hear clearly. But you didn't answer. Instead, you picked up the phone box on the table. You opened it yourself and took out the sky blue new phone. After a quick setup, you handed it directly to Seraphina. "This phone is for you. You'll need to get your own SIM card. I've already saved my number in it. If I'm not home later, you can call me if anything comes up." As you spoke, you also took a stack of cash from your pocket and placed it in front of her. "This is the cash you just withdrew. Take the child out for a stroll this afternoon if you're free. It's not good to stay home all the time. Buy whatever you want, especially clothes. I noticed both of your clothes have become quite small. Also, get a bank card. Carrying cash isn't safe." You spoke openly, expressing all your thoughts. However, Seraphina just looked up, staring intently at you. As she listened to your rambling, her eyes slowly began to redden. Seeing that she hadn't taken the phone yet, you could only rub your nose helplessly. "I think the color is quite nice. If you don't like it, you can go buy another one you prefer." Unexpectedly, Seraphina gave you another deep look. "I like it quite a lot, thank you." Her voice was still very soft. Just then, your eyes suddenly met. You awkwardly looked away, but felt relieved in your heart. "All right, I'm going to eat first." After saying that, you immediately stood up and walked quickly to the dining table, beginning to eat heartily. Actually, Seraphina was still wondering, where did you get so much money? She simply picked up the new item in her mother's hand, looking at it curiously. Seraphina took the opportunity to pat the little one's head. The two of them, one large and one small, stared at the phone together to study it. But the mother and daughter stayed in the living room all day today, making you feel quite embarrassed. Eventually, you could only return to the side bedroom somewhat depressed. It wasn't until 5 p.m. when the weather outside finally stopped being so hot. Seraphina sat on the sofa, hesitating for a moment, before picking up the money on the table. Then, she led Lily out of the house. It had been a very, very long time since Lily had gone out. She loved playing outside, but her mother never used to take her out, and her father wouldn't allow them to go out, so she seemed exceptionally happy this time. The little one held a doll in one hand, and held her mother's hand with the other. Her large, round eyes were looking everywhere. However, Seraphina was somewhat constrained, and her pace unconsciously quickened, looking at the passers-by on the road. She felt inexplicably inferior, especially regarding herself and Lily. This ill-fitting clothing made her feel as though others' eyes would unintentionally linger on her. She vaguely remembered walking 2 blocks from the mall to get here. The mall was quite different from what she remembered. In just 2 years, it seemed to have become even more exquisitely renovated. As soon as she entered, she saw a mobile phone shop. There was a counter for getting SIM cards inside. Seraphina hesitated for a moment before leading the child inside. The store was quite crowded, and the staff all seemed busy. Having not interacted with anyone for a long time, Seraphina stood there, feeling somewhat lost. Fortunately, a female clerk noticed her. She proactively approached and first patted Lily's head. Then, with a smile on her face, she said, "What a good little girl. Are you here to buy a phone, miss?" Hearing someone praise Lily, Seraphina's face also brightened. The female clerk kept smiling. While speaking, she guided Seraphina to the counter. "Of course. This way, please. We have several different plans for you to choose from. But may I ask what brand of phone you have? If it is a brand we carry in our store?" Seraphina's eyes lit up as she quickly took her phone out of her pocket. "I think it is your brand, and I just bought it this morning." The female clerk was stunned. She took another careful look at Seraphina. There weren't many of the latest phone models sold today. Since they were here for a SIM card, the clerk naturally thought of Arthur from this morning. So, this mother and daughter are the wife and child of that handsome man from this morning? And her clothes were clearly ill-fitting. She doesn't look like someone who treats his wife and child poorly. The female clerk was a bit confused, but still kept a smile on her face and exclaimed, "So the handsome man who came to buy a phone this morning is your husband? This is our latest phone model. Top up 100 and get 100 free, plus 600 minutes of free calling time." She continued to provide enthusiastic service. Only this time, the service target changed from Arthur to Seraphina. Seraphina was left feeling dazed by the words. She paid the money and successfully got the SIM card. Even after walking out of the phone store, the clerk's enthusiastic voice was still echoing in her head. She actually said he was a good man. Seraphina really wanted to tell her that a good man like him should be taken home. After getting the SIM card, Seraphina also applied for a bank card and deposited all the money she had. 4,900 left. You gave her a full 5,000 this time. Walking out of the bank with the phone and bank card, Seraphina looked at the surrounding skyscrapers, suddenly feeling that she was truly alive. Now she could leave with her child. With the money in her hands, she could find a job to support herself and her child. She could even pursue her dreams again. The sudden sense of freedom left Seraphina standing there in a daze for a long time, until a tender child's voice sounded in her ear. "Mommy, can Lily have an ice cream?" She snapped back to reality, with Lily still holding her hand. Her eyes were round and bright, staring intently at the ice cream shop nearby. Drool was almost about to escape from the corner of her mouth. Seraphina smiled so brightly and beautifully. "You can, but you're only allowed one, or your tummy will hurt. Lily loves mommy most." The mother and daughter finally left the house. You took a lovely shower, completely unaware that Seraphina might not return. After bathing, you began preparing dinner for today. A daily meal of 2 meat dishes and 2 vegetable dishes. You planned to make soup noodles tonight, but since you didn't know when they would return, you didn't make them right away. You placed the prepared ingredients on the table and cutting board. Then you returned to the living room and collapsed onto the sofa, picking up your phone to scroll through parenting tips. What to do if a child won't eat. You swiped it away. Lily is so well-behaved. There's no way she wouldn't eat, and with such a cute little thing. You wouldn't even be able to lay a finger on her. Until you grew somewhat drowsy from scrolling. You yawned and checked the time in the top right corner. It was already 7 p.m. Why hadn't the mother and daughter returned yet? You suddenly sat up straight. Could something have happened to this mother and daughter? Feeling nervous, you hurriedly stood up. Putting on your shoes, you prepared to go out and find them. But just as you opened the door, you happened to run into them returning from outside. A gentle breeze blew in through the doorway. You were completely stunned. At this moment, Seraphina was humming an unknown little tune. Her relaxed steps and the curve of her smile indicated she was in a very good mood. She was carrying several shopping bags. Lily was holding onto the corner of her clothes with one hand. In her other hand, she still held the doll you gave her. What stunned you most was that they had both changed into new, well-fitting clothes. Their two lively, cute almond eyes froze when they saw you. A moment later, Lily leaned in sweetly, calling out Daddy. It was clear she had a wonderful day out. Having changed into new clothes, Lily was in an extremely happy mood. That single Daddy nearly made your soul fly away. You responded with a trembling voice. Then you knelt down and rubbed Lily's hair, picking up the cute little one. You led them into the house first. Daddy will make you noodles today, okay? With 2 eggs, that kind? Lily loves Daddy the most. Outside, Seraphina stood lost in the breeze. The little one was just saying she loved Mommy most. In the blink of an eye, she had defected. The noodles with eggs were quickly prepared. You placed the noodles in front of her. You nudged her little nose and habitually turned to walk toward the bedroom. But just as you turned around, you were suddenly tugged by the little one's hand on your clothes. Daddy, can you eat with Lily? That soft, sweet voice rang out again. You turned back and met Lily's expectant gaze. Hesitating, you stole a glance at Seraphina sitting nearby. Seraphina said nothing, as if she hadn't heard Lily's words. She simply continued slurping her noodles. You were somewhat speechless. This situation was truly difficult to handle. Just give me a straight answer. Kill me or let me go. What is the meaning of this silence? You could only try to test the waters. Then I'll stay and eat with Lily. Dad sat down next to Lily and answered, It's Lily, happily patting the chair on the other side. Rubbing your nose, you awkwardly brought another bowl of noodles from the kitchen. You sat next to Lily, with Seraphina on your left. With Daddy on her right, Lily was surrounded by both parents for the first time. The smile on her face never faded, and she even began eating with extra enthusiasm. She finished the entire bowl of noodles in no time. In the end, Seraphina, fearing the little one would overeat, did not allow her to eat any more. However, after dinner, Lily's wish for her parents to play in the princess room with her went unfulfilled. In the end, you were the only one playing with Lily. As for Seraphina, after finishing dinner, she returned to the master bedroom alone, which you could understand. For her to join you at the table for dinner, Seraphina must have gone through a great internal struggle. Putting yourself in Seraphina's position, after being treated that way in the past, you certainly wouldn't be able to stay calm if it were you. The original, you would be nowhere to be found. You would have been minced and fed to the dogs. You stayed playing with Lily until 9 p.m. Lily was so sleepy that her little head kept nodding, but she still refused to go to sleep. You also discovered a very serious problem. But the little one still doesn't know how to take off her shoes by herself. You must realize that a normal 3-year-old is already at the age for kindergarten. You know this was caused by the unstable family environment before. And while you can't rush it, you still feel incredibly heartbroken. Seraphina walked out of the bedroom at this moment. She didn't say anything, just silently watched you and Lily on the sofa. Her expression was clear. It's time for bed. Okay. Lily's eyes, which were about to close, opened slightly. She looked at your face, then turned to look at Seraphina. Then, her little head suddenly buried itself in her father's neck. Lily wants to sleep with Daddy tonight. The sudden words left you somewhat at a loss, and caused Seraphina's expression to darken slightly. Nothing is more awkward than sudden silence. You looked at Seraphina with an innocent expression. This was the little one's own idea. This little ungrateful brat, all that care wasted. She was corrupted by the enemy's sweet words in just 2 days. In the end, the little one got her way. Seraphina gave her a quick wash. The little one happily crawled into Daddy's bed. Lily clung to your neck like a koala, refusing to let go. You let her hold you like that. This was your first time putting a baby to sleep. So you recalled parenting tips from the internet and began telling Lily a gentle bedtime story. Soon, Lily felt incredibly content and fell into a deep sleep. The next morning, you still woke up early and quietly pushed open the bedroom door. You went to the living room, preparing for your morning run. The next moment, you couldn't believe it. Rubbing your eyes, you saw that the ointment on the coffee table had vanished. Your eyes brightened, and a knowing smile spread across your face. You left the house today in a wonderful mood. Between your morning run, shower, and cooking, you spent over 2 hours. After finishing breakfast, you had one more task for the day: waking up your daughter. Lily was awakened by your gentle voice, rubbing her sleepy eyes the moment she saw you. A cute, innocent smile gradually bloomed on her face. The little one reached out with her soft arms, looking as if she wanted Daddy to hold her. You immediately reached out and picked her up gently. You dressed her in the new clothes you had just bought yesterday, then carried her out to wash up. You had learned how to take care of a child from videos. But theory is just theory. Now that you were actually doing it, you realized just how difficult it was. The little one's body was so delicate that you didn't dare use much force, making the whole process look clumsy, especially when tying her hair. You felt powerless despite trying for a long time. And in the end, you could only tie it crookedly. Daddy is a big dummy. Seeing her crooked hair in the mirror, Lily pouted and teased you. You pinched her little cheek, making Lily giggle uncontrollably, and she reached out her small hand to pinch your nose. Seraphina came out of the bedroom and saw this heartwarming scene between father and daughter. She didn't say anything, but silently walked into the kitchen to bring out breakfast. Perhaps even she hadn't realized it. The corners of her mouth had already curled up slightly without her noticing. After the family of 3 finished a simple breakfast, you did not give Lily back to Seraphina, but instead continued to bring Lily to the sofa to play house. However, during this playtime with Lily, unintentionally, some information was instilled into her small head. Very simple numbers, from 1 to 10. After noticing Lily's issues, you secretly formulated a plan to foster the little one's independent learning through daily play. At this moment, she also noticed that you were subtly teaching Lily. You would slowly teach Lily, and clearly, this would not be successful overnight. Fortunately, Lily is very smart. Previously, there was just no one to teach her these things. Now, under your subtle guidance, she quickly remembered some of the knowledge. Furthermore, you discovered that since Seraphina returned yesterday, she seemed to have suddenly become a different person, clearly possessing a vitality she never had before, which made you feel much better. As Seraphina was downloading various apps, she observed the interaction between the father and daughter. At this moment, she also realized you were subtly teaching Lily. She had long wanted to teach the child, to teach Lily like a normal mother. Seraphina looked away. As expected of the latest smartphone, the software download speed was very fast, and several apps were already completed. The moment Seraphina logged into her WeChat, unread messages popped up. It was Choo Choo, the assistant who had worked with her for 2 years. She only had a few people on her WeChat. There were messages from Choo Choo from her previous company, from the time she got married until a few days ago. Most of them were asking how she was doing, but she hadn't been able to reply. Looking at this string of messages, Seraphina felt a slight warmth in her heart. She immediately replied, "I'm sorry, Choo Choo. I haven't been able to reply to your messages." 2 seconds after the message was sent, the reply from the other side came instantly. "Seraphina, you're finally alive. Why did you stop paying attention to me?" Seraphina pursed her lips slightly. Luli was right. She deserved it. Back when she was at the company, she had always been a step ahead of Luli. Seraphina didn't respond to Choo Choo's question, but instead asked about her recent life. "Don't worry. Seraphina, are you going to make a comeback?" A hint of longing appeared in her eyes. Would she make a comeback? She turned to look at Arthur. After a moment, the longing in her eyes slowly faded. "Probably not. But if you miss my work, Choo Choo, we can find time to meet up." Meanwhile, in the Tianmei Entertainment Building in the center of Jiangqing, there was a young girl about 160 centimeters tall. Setting down the heavy weight on her shoulders, her hands tapped the phone screen excitedly. But soon, a sharp female voice jolted her out of her happiness. "Seraphina, do you still think you're the assistant to a famous star?" A woman with a seductive face appeared. She tilted her chin up. "What are you looking at? Hurry up and take this equipment to the recording studio. If you delay my recording, can you afford the cost?" Seraphina rolled her eyes at the woman, but still carried the equipment toward the recording studio. "Okay, Miss Shun. I'm off this Saturday. Let's get in touch when you're free." Looking at this message, a smile finally appeared on Seraphina's face. She scrolled through her phone and seeing no other messages, then switched back to Weibo to check his last post. Was from 2 years ago. Her follower count, which was once in the hundreds of thousands, had now dropped to a few thousand. Surprisingly, some old fans were still there, often leaving comments to check on her. She casually scrolled through the Weibo trending topics, and she was shocked. They were all recent celebrity gossip, but some of them were talking about a song that had recently gone viral, gaining millions of followers overnight with just a single video. Who exactly is he? A deep analysis. Taking a look at the latest hidden gem songs, Seraphina was curious about what this viral song sounded like. So, she clicked on the title. The phone screen automatically jumped to a video interface. As the song echoed in her ears, she awkwardly turned her head. Lily's large eyes blinked, pounced into Seraphina's arms, and looked at the phone screen. "Isn't this the song that was playing from your room a few days ago?" Lily was the first to speak, pointing her small hand at the phone screen. She looked up at Seraphina. "Yes, it is," Arthur replied, patting the little one's head. "She finally understood why you had so much money to replace the furniture at home. The likes have already reached several million." Her expression was complex and inexplicable, yet she happily pounced back into your arms. Her 2 small hands cupped Arthur's face. Her large eyes were full of brightness. In a milky voice, "Daddy is so gentle." Her 2 soft little hands pressed against her own face. Arthur's gaze gradually softened as he used his large hands to cup his daughter's small face. Does Lily like singing too? Do you? Lily's eyes curved into crescents as she answered you without hesitation. Her smile became even more brilliant. Lily kept nodding her small head and then happily leaned against your cheek. Having received a reward, Arthur beamed with joy. Under the little one's admiring gaze, he quickly ran back to the side bedroom, took out the guitar, and returned to the sofa. Arthur held the guitar and tuned the strings. He turned around to see Seraphina and Lily, both staring at him without blinking. Arthur's face rarely blushed. Then, stroking the strings, "Today, Daddy will compose a children's song just for Lily. Daddy will sing it once for Lily first, and then Lily can sing along with a line." Lily nodded happily, her small face full of anticipation. This song is called Burst of Courage. After saying, "Listen closely, Lily," you gently strummed the strings. A light melody began to play in the living room. Lily's sense of rhythm was surprisingly good. She swayed her head along with the melody. You couldn't help but sway your body along with the little one, looking at the father and daughter moving in perfect sync. Seraphina's gaze gradually softened. A gentle smile quietly appeared on her face. She even joined in with your rhythm. For the first time, the whole family was immersed in a sea of joy. At this moment, even the living room seemed to brighten up. Following the song, Lily pumped her little fists, making a superhero punching gesture. You set down your guitar and made the same gesture along with the little one. Then, you gently tapped your finger on Lily's cute nose. Lily lunged into your arms, her small hands tightly hugging your neck. Lily loves a daddy like this. Please don't go back to the way you were before, okay? Lily's soft, sweet voice echoed in your ear. Your mouth hung open, and your eyes suddenly filled with tears. You held Lily tightly in your arms, burying your face deep in her clothes. Daddy will never be like that again, you said, your voice raspy yet firm. Seraphina couldn't see your expression at this moment. She was already in tears, but a smile remained on her face. She knew those past days would never return. You were the first to regain your composure. Setting the guitar aside, you pulled Lily onto your lap. Lily, now let's learn the song. I'll sing one line. Okay, Lily agreed very quickly. It became a teaching session for the father and daughter. Their singing echoed throughout the living room. Seeing them immersed in learning the song, Seraphina quietly began preparing lunch. It's just that her skills are clearly not as good as yours. This caused Lily to keep clamoring during dinner that she only wanted to eat the meals made by her dad from now on. This made Seraphina give the little one a jealous glare, feeling quite indignant in her heart. This kind of family atmosphere made you feel very comfortable, as if it were how a real family should be. Lily learned very quickly and sang the song Burst of Courage in its entirety. At Lily's strong insistence, you also filmed a video of her and posted it on the platform. In the video, Lily was wearing a pink princess dress, with a bow in her hair, her tiny body swaying to the music. You were beaming with joy while filming, your face full of pride, thinking, "This is my daughter." Your proud and smug expression made Seraphina, who was watching the fun nearby, almost choke from trying to hold back her laughter. It was the first time she had seen you looking such a way. Because of your good behavior over these 3 days, the relationship between Seraphina and you had eased considerably. At the very least, Seraphina would now take the initiative to speak to you. No one expected that the second video on the Buffon account would actually be a children's song, and it was still just as pleasant to listen to. The platform headquarters. Lu Yun discovered the video immediately. After watching the entire video, he gave it the maximum promotion without a second thought. Such a cute little baby, singing such a beautiful song. Lu Yun had a wide, adoring smile on his face. Soon after, the platform's trending searches exploded. The storm of having you has not yet fully subsided. Courage erupts. The storm of having you has not yet fully subsided. A new storm had already begun to brew. This video's popularity grew even more rapidly. In just one afternoon, the likes reached 5 million. The number of comments was also absurd, which caused that night that you had to mute your phone once again. Sitting on the sofa holding Lily, you scrolled through the comments endlessly. Every single person in the comments was hilarious. You couldn't stop scrolling. If I had a daughter like this, I wouldn't allow any bad boys within 100 miles. This was the most liked comment. The next day, Saturday, you had just finished your morning run. Wiping your sweat, you opened the door and saw Seraphina wearing a newly bought slip nightgown. She was coming out of the bathroom, clearly having just showered. A line of poetry suddenly popped into your mind. Natural beauty without any artifice. It was the perfect description for Seraphina at this moment. Seeing you staring at her like a fool, Seraphina instinctively covered her chest. Her face gradually flushed. Even her earlobes began to turn red. Even though the two of you had been married for over 2 years, it felt just like being a newlywed couple. Seraphina tried her best to calm down. She greeted you, her steps toward the bedroom quickening involuntarily. You gave a simple reply. Seraphina said nothing more and ran back to the bedroom as if escaping. You smiled helplessly and shook off the stray thoughts in your head. Humming a song, you walked into the bathroom. You showered, cooked, and woke Lily up. When you pushed open the bedroom door, Lily was still fast asleep. Her mouth was slightly open, lying sprawled out on your large bed. After a few days of normal eating and sleeping, Lily's complexion looked much more vibrant. Her overall spirit had visibly improved as well. You sat by the bed and watched her for a while, leaning down, gently pinching the little one's nose. Lily, it's time to wake up and eat. The little one lying on the bed pouted her small lips. She opened her eyes slightly, and when she saw you, the corners of her mouth couldn't help but curl up. Then, she slowly reached out her short little arms and hugged your neck. Daddy. Her voice was milky and sweet, filled with a hint of acting spoiled. You smiled and reached out to pick her up. You walked out of the bedroom and placed her on the stool in front of the sink. The little one had been washing her face and brushing her teeth by herself these past 2 days. You stayed by her side to assist, squeezing the toothpaste and getting a towel for her. Lily is very smart. She has already learned this skill. Seraphina also walked out of the bedroom at this moment. Her long hair behind her was tied up high, styled into a small bun. This look of Seraphina made your eyes light up. You nodded secretly, thinking this was the vitality a person in their 20s should have. She is still too thin. It would be better if she were a bit more rounded. Seraphina was still feeling a bit nervous. Her cheeks flushed slightly. This was the first time she had dressed up like this at home. Unsure if she looked good, she looked up at you, who were still taking care of Lily. She quietly walked to the dining table and sat down. His eyes seemed to light up just now. That must mean she looks good. Wait, why do I care about his opinion? Seraphina puffed out her cheeks in annoyance. She aimlessly stirred her bowl with her chopsticks. She was angry at herself for being so weak-willed. At that moment, you also sat down while holding Lily, who had finished washing up. Lily sweetly called out, "Mama." Then she picked up her special small spoon and scooped up the golden millet porridge in front of her. "Can you go out with us today?" You, who were bowing your head to enjoy the food, suddenly heard Seraphina's question. You looked up at Seraphina. Seraphina nodded, though her earlobes were already bright red. Sure. On the way, you hailed a taxi. You were going to Yida Plaza in the city center today. Seraphina was meeting her former little assistant, Zhao Chuchu, at a milk tea shop they had arranged to meet. The reason you and Lily were coming along was entirely because Zhao Chuchu wanted to see the little one, and the little one had become your little shadow these past 2 days, never leaving your side, so you were simply tagging along with her. After 2 years, Zhao Chuchu was very excited. She had bought several cups of milk tea in advance. Sitting in her seat, staring at the entrance of the milk tea shop, Zhao Chuchu and Seraphina worked together for a year and a half. They were like sisters, and Seraphina was truly good to her. Later, Seraphina ended up with you. She didn't understand why she insisted on being with a man who had nothing to his name. She couldn't make sense of it. It was as if she had made up her mind. Zhao Chuchu was lost in thought. Suddenly, she saw a familiar figure, carrying a bouncing little toddler. Her eyes lit up as they walked through the shop entrance. She stood up abruptly and waved her hand. "Seraphina, over here." Seraphina heard the voice. Looking up, she saw Zhao Chuchu waving. A smile spread across her face. Zhao Chuchu really hadn't changed. She was still so lively and cheerful. Seraphina walked over. Beyond the joy in their eyes, there were tears, as sisters reunited after a long time. They could hardly suppress their emotions. Zhao Chuchu looked Seraphina over closely. She grabbed Seraphina's hand. Her expression became pained. "Seraphina, you've lost so much weight. Is that man treating you badly? Is he treating you badly? Where is he? I'll teach him a lesson. I'll teach him a lesson." Seraphina pursed her lips. She sat down with Zhao Chuchu and placed Lily by her side. Then she spoke. "Chuchu, don't worry. He treats me very well now. Sister Shun, you have no idea how much I missed you." After chatting for a while, Zhao Chuchu turned her gaze to the little one. The little one was being very good right beside me just now. Zhao Chuchu was too focused on catching up with Seraphina. She looks just like Sister Shen. They look like they were made from the same mold. Especially those bright, lively eyes. Those eyes could make anyone fall in love with this little one. Sister Shun. As Zhao Chuchu spoke, she left her seat. She knelt in front of the little one and reached out to touch the baby's face. Then, her brow furrowed slightly. The little one is just like Sister Shen. Zhao Chuchu was feeling incredibly angry. She was certain that that useless man must be treating Seraphina and the child poorly. The more she thought about it, the angrier she got. She wanted to confront the man face to face. So, she looked up at Seraphina. "Sister Shun." Seraphina could also sense Zhao Chuchu's hostility toward you. She just didn't know what to say. She could only smile awkwardly. "Lily wants ice cream." I'm going to go line up to buy some for the child. Zhao Chuchu naturally saw the expression on Seraphina's face. She felt even angrier. Seraphina was naturally gentle and aloof. Now, there was an added sense of timidity to that gentleness. Zhao Chuchu could only snort coldly and return to her seat. Secretly, she was gritting her teeth, wanting to destroy you. Just as Zhao Chuchu was about to speak, Seraphina froze. She thought your arrival was the reason for Chuchu's hostility. Somethia was just about to turn around to look at UMTA. A slightly high-pitched voice rang out from behind her. Zhao Chuchu, have you finished the work I gave you? Zhao Chuchu's expression was ugly. She glared at the speaker like a startled kitten. Seraphina turned around. Only then did she see that the newcomer was Lu Li, a rising star from her former company. She also followed the path of a talented singer. Isn't this Sister Shin? Is Sister Shin not at home? Staying home to be a good wife and mother. And out looking for Chuchu for what? Lu Li spoke with a smile, but her words were full of mockery. Before Seraphina could say anything, Zhao Chuchu lost her temper. Zhao Chuchu's face turned pale. She stared at Lu Li without saying a word. Seraphina suddenly turned to look at Zhao Chuchu. Her eyes filled with disbelief. To think that the assistant work was just manual labor. How could the company let Chuchu do this? But now was clearly not the time to ask. Seraphina turned back to look at Lu Li, her gaze filled with anger. Her eyebrow twitched as she looked at Seraphina. Then she smiled. Sister Shun, why have you gotten so thin? Is life difficult? If it is, tell me. I could even offer some charity. Who told me to be so kind? Look, Seraphina is working as my errand girl now. Zhao Chuchu's face turned pale. She stared at Lu Li without saying a word. Seraphina suddenly turned her head to look at Zhao Chuchu. His eyes were filled with disbelief. To think that even a manual laborer wouldn't let Seraphina do this. But now was clearly not the time to ask. Seraphina turned her head, her gaze toward Lu Li filled with anger. Just as she was about to speak, Zhao Chuchu spoke first. My contract with the company expires at the end of the month. I just hope someone doesn't fall harder the higher they climb. If Seraphina makes a comeback, someone might wake up in a nightmare. She did indeed have some trauma regarding Seraphina. After all, Seraphina had completely overshadowed her for a year and a half. During the time she was there, who would even recognize her? However, Lu Li soon laughed, looking at Seraphina with contempt. A comeback? That is the funniest joke I have ever heard. Is there any company that would dare to sign someone like this? Speaking of children, your child is quite cute. You could consider training her to be the next generation's famous pop star. As Lu Li spoke, she wanted to pinch Lily's face. Get your dirty hands off her. I guarantee if you touch her, you won't even have a place to cry. With a fierce look in your eyes, you walked quickly toward Lu Li. You handed the ice cream to the three of them. Then, you faced Lu Li, shielding Seraphina and Lily behind you. Lu Li was startled. Her body involuntarily took 2 steps back. It seemed your angry expression was very intimidating. But as she regained her composure and looked at you closely, she suddenly laughed. So it was just this pretty boy. You useless waste. Do you intend to hit someone in a public place? You frowned and turned to look at Seraphina. Your eyes were full of questions, clearly asking where this shrew came from. She is a singer from the previous company. I didn't expect to run into her here either. Seeing you angry, and seeing you looking at her, seeing Seraphina like this, I couldn't help but sigh in my heart. Without asking Seraphina anything more, you turned your head. Looking down at Lu Li, you spoke seriously, which made Lu Li's voice even sharper. You need to know your place. You think I don't know you flatter Yi Tian and Chen Shui from the boy band every day? You treat them to drinks every day, so why are you acting so high and mighty now? You thought for a moment and finally remembered who those two were. They were members of the boy band the original owner used to belong to. After leaving the industry, the original owner wanted to debut again. So he did frequently treat them to drinks and flatter them. It's just that they didn't care about him at all. I am not familiar with those two you mentioned. If you keep bothering us, don't blame me for calling security. Lu Li glared at you intensely but still obediently stepped aside. You pulled Seraphina behind you and signaled Zhao Chuchu to follow as you walked straight outside. But as you passed Lu Li suddenly spoke to Seraphina again. A pity that someone can never sing again. Seraphina, my new song will be released at the end of this month. After saying that, Lu Li actually laughed happily. Seraphina, how can you compare yourself to me? Lu Li's cheap voice echoed in everyone's ears. Zhao Chuchu wanted to rush forward and slap her right then. She knew well that Seraphina loved singing, and that she can't sing anymore. Saying this was truly heartless. Your steps paused. You gave Lu Li a deep look, and then continued walking out with an expressionless face. Seraphina said nothing. However, a tender child's voice suddenly rang out. The voice was crisp and firm. Everyone was stunned. The little one was speaking up for her mother. You froze for just a second, then smiled and rubbed the little one's head. Thinking to yourself, impressive. You were still feeling a bit angry, But once Lily spoke, your anger immediately vanished. Ignoring Lu Li's reaction, you all left that place of trouble. The group arrived at a restaurant. Seraphina and Zhao Chuchu chatted. While walking, she had been worried about something but hadn't asked. Now that you were finally seated with no outsiders around. Finally, he asked the question she had always wanted to ask. Chuchu, why are you working as Lu Li's assistant? And what about Sister Yun? Sister Yun was Seraphina's former manager. She was nearly 40 years old. Hearing Seraphina's question, Zhao Chuchu could not hide her sadness. Not long after you left, Sister Yun was dismissed. She looked for a job for a long time, but couldn't find one. Later, her mother fell ill and was hospitalized. She had to stay at the hospital to take care of her. So her mother could only find work as a nanny. Seraphina did not expect this. Sister Yun has actually fallen to such a state. Her vision blurred, and she could faintly see how Sister Yun used to work. With such efficiency and decisiveness. Seraphina pursed her lips. She knows this is all her fault. If not for her own selfishness, Sister Yun wouldn't be like this. She had disobeyed company orders so many times for her. When she had a bright future, the company naturally wouldn't say anything about her leaving whenever she wanted. One can only imagine how Sister Yun was treated. The atmosphere was heavy, and after the group finished a quick meal, Zhao Chuchu spoke with Seraphina for a while longer. Before leaving in a hurry, Seraphina's mood remained low. Originally, the three of you had planned to take Lily to the amusement park this afternoon. But now, she wasn't even in the mood to have fun. She wanted to say something, but ultimately kept it unsaid. Actually, you wouldn't understand. At that time, Seraphina acted as if she were under a spell, wanting to marry you. But when she saw the expectant look in Lily's eyes, she couldn't bear to disappoint her, to avoid letting Lily down. Eventually, the three of you went to the amusement park anyway. The little one was very happy. It was her first time at an amusement park. Pulling your hand, she wanted to rush inside. Seraphina forced herself to cheer up at this moment. She didn't want Lily to remember her first trip to the amusement park as a time when her family was sad, starting with the carousel. After playing on several more rides, the sky gradually grew dark without anyone noticing. The amusement park also lit up with colorful lights. Seraphina's lovely face became even more enchanting. When you held Lily and sat inside with Seraphina, Lily had already fallen fast asleep in your arms. As the Ferris wheel slowly rose, the buildings shimmering with colorful lights gradually shrank. But what you didn't know was that this was also Seraphina's first time at an amusement park. And her first time on a Ferris wheel, her almond eyes looked out of the cabin with curiosity. Her eyes were sparkling as she looked out the window. You watched her, and perhaps sensing your gaze, her earlobes slowly turned red. She gave you a playful glare. It was your first time seeing such a look. It was almost overwhelming. The lights on the Ferris wheel illuminated her slender face. You suddenly felt a bit dazzled. The Ferris wheel continued to rise slowly. In the next moment, all around the castle, fireworks were launched into the sky almost simultaneously. At the moment the fireworks bloomed, you clearly saw a breathtaking smile appear on Seraphina's face. It was a smile from the bottom of her heart, leaving you dazed. The Ferris wheel reached its highest point at this time. The fireworks became even clearer. Seraphina's beautiful face became even more charming. She no longer had to be afraid like before, turning her face to look at you. You didn't look at her, continuing to watch the magnificent fireworks in the sky, saying softly, "This isn't good. You don't have to be afraid like you used to be. I know you want to sing. I also know there are many things you want to do. Go ahead with peace of mind. I will take care of Lily." Seraphina didn't respond, but as you turned your face, you saw 2 tracks of crystal tears on her face. She pursed her lips, staring at you without blinking. The intense grievance and complexity in her eyes seemed ready to drown you, making you instantly nervous. Not understanding why, out of nowhere, Seraphina had been staring intently at you, and now her almond eyes were filled with mist. But it resonated so loudly in your heart. Suddenly, the air grew silent. It was as if even the sound of the fireworks had vanished. It took a long time before you gave her a gentle smile, and then spoke. Seraphina continued to look at you. Your smile made her heart suddenly race, like a startled deer, and your answer was even more unexpected. She looked into your clear, bright eyes, and her tears suddenly fell even faster. She buried her head, sobbing softly. Then she spoke. "That's right, you are Lu Fan. Let me tell you a cliché story. Once, there was a little girl in an orphanage. There was always a brother, 1 year older than her, protecting her. One day, she was bullied by a group of boys. That brother shielded her behind him, ensuring she didn't suffer a single scratch, while he himself was covered in wounds. That brother, 1 year older than her, was her whole world. But after that, she saw that brother again. You were left speechless after hearing it. Now, you finally understood some things." Seraphina looked up, looking so lonely and pitiful. She had finally revealed the secret in her heart. No one understands her stubbornness. Only she believed she was worthy. But the result was so terrible. She had regretted it countless times. Until you appeared now. She asked who he was. That was enough. You suddenly understood Seraphina's feelings. Seeing the tenderness and care in your eyes, Seraphina could no longer hold back, competing with Lily for a spot in your arms. Sobbing softly, Lily was woken up. Then, overjoyed, she hugged Dad with one hand and hugged Mom with the other. Both parents kissed her cheeks. Today was Lily's most beautiful day. You looked at the two beauties in your arms. Life's trajectory was moving in a better direction. However, some plans would need to change. The fireworks gradually ended, and the Ferris wheel slowly descended to the ground. Seraphina walked ahead, carrying Lily. You followed behind, watching Seraphina walking briskly, rubbing your nose after getting off the Ferris wheel. Seraphina left your arms. She seemed to instantly return to her former cold attitude toward you. Seraphina was very nervous. Even her grip on Lily was tight. She felt her earlobes and cheeks burning. She actually stayed in your arms for so long just now, and even nuzzled against you like a young girl. It was killing her. She was sure you were secretly laughing at her in your mind. When they stepped off the Ferris wheel just now, she saw the hidden smile on your face. Seraphina's pace became even more rapid. It was almost like power walking. You didn't even know why this woman had suddenly become so energetic. You had to jog just to keep up with her. Not until they reached the amusement park exit. Seeing that Seraphina had no intention of stopping, you had to call out to stop her. Hey, are you planning to walk all the way home? Let's just catch a taxi here. Only then did Seraphina stop. Standing by the roadside, she refused to look at you. She felt even more certain that you were laughing at her behind her back. How annoying. After waiting for a long time, you finally managed to hail a taxi. This also gave you the first thought of buying a car. After returning home, you carried Lily back to her room and settled her in. You also walked quickly to the bedroom, and after lying in bed, you soon fell into a deep sleep. In contrast to your peaceful sleep, Seraphina was tossing and turning, lying in bed. As soon as she closed her eyes, scenes from today at the amusement park. Today's scene at the amusement park automatically surfaced in her mind. Seraphina pulled the covers over her face in frustration, trying to force herself to sleep. But her eyelashes kept fluttering, showed just how restless her heart was at this moment. You woke up punctually at 6 a.m. as usual. After morning running, washing up, and cooking, you called Lily to wake up. The routine ended, but Seraphina did not come out of her room. Looking at the closed master bedroom door, Arthur scratched his head. It seems he really did come back late last night. She actually slept until now without getting up. Arthur had no intention of waking her up. Just leave a breakfast for her, then wash and put away the bowls and chopsticks you used. When coming out of the kitchen, Seraphina also got out of bed and walked through the living room with a slight blush on her face. Do you still want to continue singing? Hearing your voice, you lean against the bathroom doorframe, holding your phone, quietly waiting for her answer. A moment later, her gentle voice sounds in your ear. There wasn't much of an answer in Seraphina's heart. It is a life she couldn't have imagined 2 years ago, and singing was a very distant dream. Arthur didn't ask anymore. He took his phone back to the side bedroom and opened his private messages to search. Arthur's private messages had already exploded. Ever since the first video was posted, you only scrolled through a bit and haven't checked since. It is difficult to find it again now, but you still silently swipe the screen, patiently filtering through them one by one. Finally, your eyes suddenly lit up. You randomly clicked on one of the private messages. Looking at the content of the message, your fingers tapped the screen unconsciously. Or perhaps your original intention for posting videos was only to make money, to earn enough money to settle Lily and Seraphina, and then retire. But after yesterday's events, you changed your mind. The content of this private message was very simple. Star Entertainment sincerely invites you to join our team. With your musical talent, we will turn you into a top-tier superstar in the shortest time possible. At the end of the message was the contact number for Star Entertainment. Star Entertainment is one of the 3 giants of China's entertainment industry. Without hesitation, you entered the number and dialed. The phone rang only a few times before being answered. A mature woman's voice came through the receiver. Hello, who is this? My account name is Boo Fan. I received an invitation from your company. Is it convenient to talk right now? At this moment, in the headquarters far away in Shanghai, Li Xia received the call. She looked slightly stunned. She didn't expect this. After all, several days had passed since she sent the invitation. She thought he wouldn't enter the entertainment industry. Are you still there? Li Xia suddenly snapped out of it. Then, a look of joy appeared on her face. Because if you were to talk about the most popular person on the internet these past few days, it was undoubtedly this mysterious guy. Mr. Boo Fan, I am the deputy manager of the Human Resources Department at Star Entertainment. Are you looking to join Star Entertainment? Manager Lee. I don't have any plans to enter the entertainment industry for now, but I want to recommend a singer to you. I'm not sure if your company would be interested. Li Xia couldn't help but feel disappointed. She shook her head with a bitter smile. What she wanted was Boo Fan. With your fame, it would be a huge boost to the executive office. You don't need to worry about that. The singing level of the person I'm recommending is definitely top tier. And, Mr. Boo Fan, regarding the executive office. Fine. 5 hours later, the other party called back. They can let the person you recommended join the company. Currently, you only have 2 songs, and one of them is a children's song. However, the higher-ups still want to see more of your composing ability. I wonder if it would be convenient. As expected, they don't believe in your ability. Li Xia's heart was originally quite heavy. But hearing Arthur agree so decisively, she couldn't help but feel a sense of relief. She had been running around for a long time today because of this. She believed in Arthur's talent, but the higher-ups still had some doubts. In the end, the company agreed to give Arthur a chance. It just so happened that Huayin recently gave several entertainment companies a difficult problem. Because of this problem, they have invited many songwriters. In the end, they were all passed over. If Arthur can solve this problem, the company will never doubt him again. Mr. Arthur, can we meet to discuss the specific details? You still need to come over here to compose the lyrics and music on site. She also wants to meet this mysterious person to see what you actually look like. You thought for a moment. Shanghai Executive Office. After all, the sooner, the better for you. It will better demonstrate your value. Then let's make it tomorrow afternoon. After hanging up the phone, you booked a flight for 10 a.m. tomorrow. Before long, you fell into a deep sleep. When Seraphina returned with Lily, she saw you fast asleep. Lily walked to the sofa and snuggled gently into your arms. In your dream, you felt as if a kitten was rubbing against your face. You felt a bit breathless and suddenly woke up. Lily's cheerful laughter echoed in your ears. You looked down and realized it was your precious daughter, using her soft little hands to pinch your nose. Daddy, time to eat. You smiled inwardly, suddenly feeling that life was quite wonderful. The aroma of food drifted from the dining room, making you feel a bit hungry. Seraphina then walked out from the kitchen, carrying 2 bowls of rice. She glanced at you and said softly, seeing that you haven't woken up, "It looks delicious." Seraphina felt a bit shy hearing your praise. She nodded and went back to the kitchen, bringing a bowl of rice to the table. You placed a piece of crispy pork in Lily's bowl, then turned to Seraphina and said, "I have to go out tomorrow and don't know when I'll be back." She suddenly choked on her food hearing your words. She couldn't stop coughing, so you hurriedly handed her a tissue with a worried look. Seraphina took the tissue, hearing that you were suddenly leaving. She didn't know if she should ask you where you were going, even though she wanted to escape just a week ago. Hearing that you were going out made her subconsciously reluctant to let you go, so Lily asked instead. You rubbed her little head. "Daddy is going to find a job for Mommy." Then you looked at Seraphina. "A company has invited me over for a talk. If this talk goes well, you can make a legitimate comeback. Star Entertainment should be quite good." He made himself sing. You were very serious. Seraphina's almond eyes suddenly filled with mist. Her eyes turned slightly red. This was a bit much for you to handle, so you quickly lowered your head to eat. Seraphina never imagined that there would actually be a day when she could continue singing, and that this man had taken the initiative to choose it for her. "Thank you," Seraphina said. Moreover, she wants Seraphina and Sister Yin to have a better life, and no longer be bullied. Ever since meeting Zhao Chu, she has been worried about them. "You're welcome. That's enough. The next morning, I'll probably be back in. Just a day or 2 at most." You hailed a taxi heading to the airport. Turning back to Seraphina, you said. Seraphina nodded, her eyes filled with reluctance. Even though she previously wanted to escape you, she felt sad about your departure. Seraphina had a smile on her face. Zhao Chu was in her rental apartment. You hardened your heart and stopped looking at her. Turning around, you sat inside the taxi. The 2 figures in the rearview mirror gradually grew smaller. You closed your eyes, feeling an indescribable emotion. 3 hours later, just as you stepped off the plane, you felt the warmth of Shanghai. Compared to Jiangcheng, there were too many people here. You struggled to move through the surging crowd. You didn't breathe a sigh of relief until you reached exit 5. Standing before the exit, you looked at the large group of people holding signs, searching for your own name. Before arriving, you had made an appointment with Seraphina. She would meet you here at the exit. There were too many people holding signs. Many of them were fans picking up stars. This made it take a long time before you finally saw a tall woman wearing a professional suit. The sign she was holding was clearly Lucas's name. You quickly walked up to her and waved. "Hello, are you Minister Lee? I am Lucas, real name Lucas." Seraphina looked at the person before her with a hint of surprise, but she hid it very well, knowing you were young, like a recent college graduate, and possessing a face perfectly suited to be a star. Seraphina couldn't help but feel some regret. If only she could sign you. Hello, I am Seraphina. It is lunchtime, so let's find a place to eat before we talk further. Okay, you nodded and walked out side by side with Seraphina. Seraphina was indeed a veteran of the professional world. She kept finding topics to chat with you as she walked. She originally thought a young person like you wouldn't know how to converse. But after interacting, she found you could actually keep up with her topics. You spoke eloquently, not at all shy like other young people. This made Seraphina look up to you even more. Truly, excellent people can thrive anywhere. You certainly didn't know that Seraphina had raised her opinion of you again. If you did know. After all, with the memories of 2 lifetimes, you are a person of over 50 years. If you lacked even this much emotional intelligence, you might as well find a rope. The two of you got into the car, and you looked out at the prosperous Shanghai. Seraphina introduced the local specialties to you from time to time. In a short while, the two of you arrived at a specialty restaurant. While waiting for the food to be served, Seraphina finally brought up business. I will call you Mr. Lucas then. I wonder who you recommended this time. An amateur or a professional singer? I wonder if Minister Lee has heard of Seraphina. But she left the industry later. Licia frowned. She had heard Seraphina's songs. 2 years ago, she was a famous rising star with great singing skills. But the reason she frowned was Seraphina was forced to leave the industry after her romance was exposed. And her partner seemed to be nothing more than a useless gigolo. Licia thought for a moment, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. Before looking intently at you, I knew she wondered what your relationship with her was. Do you know why she left the industry before? You looked into Licia's eyes and said calmly, husband. Even the experienced Licia couldn't help but stare in shock. Could not help but stare in shock. He is that legendary gigolo. You're joking. Is Seraphina divorced from him? Seeing Licia's expression, you couldn't help but smile bitterly. I am the one involved in that romance exposure. That caused her to leave the industry. Licia suddenly didn't know what to say. She had heard Seraphina's songs, but didn't know who she was with. As for male idols like you who rely on looks, she naturally wouldn't pay attention. Whether those 2 songs were written by you. You didn't give her much time to think. Seeing her look conflicted, I continued, is it really that hard to have her join your company? If it truly is a difficulty. And my request isn't just for her to join your company. I also want her to have the top-tier resources and freedom within your company. The contract shouldn't be restrictive. After all, it's a matter of interests. I believe with my help, Starry Entertainment will reach new heights. I still hope you can consider this carefully. After finishing my words, I picked up the cup and took a calm sip of water. Seraphina looked grave. Ultimately, we haven't worked together, and based solely on those 2 songs you released. They don't hold that much value. I acknowledge Seraphina's singing skills. But the entertainment industry is about more than just singing skills. I believe you also know it wouldn't be difficult to have her return. But demanding top-tier resources, contracts, and freedom. We have basically never signed anyone like this. Let us discuss this matter further. This was no small matter. Although Seraphina did not explicitly refuse, her words implied that this was basically impossible. You can discuss it. I am also expressing my stance here. This isn't just a problem you are facing this time. In the future, when you need songs, I truly hope we can achieve a successful cooperation. Didn't you bring me here this time just to see my ability? Since I am here, why not make a decision after seeing it? I said calmly. Seraphina gave me a deep look. It was the first time she had seen someone so confident. So this was the legendary pretty boy. In the end, Seraphina left in a hurry after the meal. She went to discuss it with the company, and before leaving, she gave you a room card. Wait for my news, was the last thing she said before leaving. You went to your hotel room and washed up briefly. Then you lay on the bed, lost in thought. You could still go to other companies. If none of them worked, you could just earn more money. You could work harder, start your own company, and help Seraphina grow. You didn't even realize that your mindset had unconsciously changed. From just wanting to be a salted fish at first, to now running around for Seraphina's sake. In this short time together, you were thinking of them more and more. You had even unconsciously become part of this little family. Seraphina's call came at 3 p.m. She said you needed to go to Starry Tower with her. You didn't say anything else and went downstairs to meet Seraphina. Starry Entertainment is located in the most prosperous area of Shanghai. The entire building belongs to Starry Entertainment. Currently, on the 18th floor of Starry Tower, the chairman, Arthur, the HR director Harvey, and several other Starry Entertainment managers were present. Harvey's expression was grim. Chairman, I have nothing to say about Deputy Director Lee's professional abilities. But this time, I feel she is placing too much importance on Lucas. He used to be an artist with nothing to his name. Now he's actually making such outrageous demands of us. I feel we are just wasting our time. Regarding Harvey's complaints, we still need to give young people some opportunities. Let's see his talent this time. If it doesn't work out, I believe my daughter won't say much either. Seeing the chairman's kind expression, Harvey could only hold back his frustration, thinking to himself, it's only because she's your daughter. You're just being biased. Seeing Zhang Hao looking like a doormat, Arthur smiled again. Naturally, he wouldn't just do whatever his daughter said. In fact, he had heard those two songs. He could only describe them as perfect, but he saw no need to explain anything to Zhang Hao. As for whether those two songs were written by the person themselves, Tom would tell. Li Xia brought Arthur to the lounge at this time. From the moment you entered, you saw many of the world's most famous stars. Each of them was a leader in their respective field. The sheer luxury of the place gave off an incredibly high-end feeling. Upon entering the lounge, you felt everyone's eyes on you. Their eyes revealed all sorts of expressions. You naturally took a seat in the guest area, remaining calm in front of the group of celebrities. Arthur couldn't help but feel a sense of admiration. To be able to act so composed in front of such a crowd at such a young age. The first impression was good. All right, we have discussed your requirements in our meeting. Seraphina can be signed with top-tier resources, but the contract cannot be unrestricted. We truly cannot provide that. I assume you understand what I mean. You nodded. Arthur smiled and looked directly at you. For 5 years, we will train her with the highest level resources, and she can release whatever songs or participate in whatever activity she wants. We won't limit you. You frowned slightly. Without a hint of fear, her eyes met his directly. With your resources and my talent, she will definitely be a top star within a year. Perhaps not even a year. The most I can promise is 2 years. As long as the remaining year brings enough profit to your company. During these 2 years, you don't need to worry about Seraphina's songs. Furthermore, I can write songs for Starry Entertainment for free, but in limited quantities. Anyone can make big claims. Becoming a top star within a year. A bald man sitting next to Li Xia let out a sneer. Looking at you with contempt, he spoke. You only spared him a glance. Li Tian narrowed his eyes. The smile on his face became even more apparent. Young man, having confidence is a good thing. 2 years is not impossible. But all of this depends on your strength. I invited you here. On the other hand, Huayin recently launched a nationwide event. Every company is required to participate. I want to win it, but I don't know if you have the strength. I want to take it, but I don't know if you have the strength. You nodded slightly, thinking, didn't I come here specifically for this event? Let Vice Minister Li hand over the specific details of the event to you. Then I will await your good news. As long as your songs are recognized, I can sign the contract immediately. Li Tian smiled softly, making the final decision. Once everything was settled, you relaxed, stood up, and shook hands with Li Tian. Then you left the lounge with Li Xia. Li Xia sighed. She hadn't expected her father to agree to such outrageous terms. However, this event is indeed very important. An event hosted by the authorities. The company whose song is selected will naturally gain official favor, the benefits of which are self-evident. Her gaze was complex. She hoped you could make a stunning debut. This would prove that her judgment was correct, and the company's rumors would naturally be debunked. Take a look. You only have 3 days to create. I hope you can achieve your wish. I also hope our collaboration is a success. Seraphina took a file folder out of her drawer and handed it to you, saying, what met your eyes was a large title. An ordinary hero. Seeing these large words, your expression immediately became serious. As you continued reading, with only the sound of you flipping through the file, your expression was the most serious it had been since you traveled to this parallel world. You flipped through the file. Underneath were several photos. The first was a group of doctors and nurses wearing protective suits. The second was 3 firefighters. Behind them was a fire that had been extinguished. The third was several soldiers, seen only from behind. Their faces were not visible. The fourth was a classroom about to collapse. A teacher was holding a child, handing them to someone outside, while behind him, no one else remained. After finishing the files, you organized them, put them away, and took a deep breath. Seraphina also, at this moment, broke the silence in the office. How is it? Huayin will end this selection in 3 days. You nodded. I will definitely give them a satisfactory answer within 3 days. After saying that, you put the files away. You stood up and said, then it's settled. Prepare some manuscript paper for me. I'll study it at the hotel. I'll see you out. It is difficult to create a good song in just 3 days. At 9 p.m., after showering, you sat at your desk. You spread the manuscript paper across the table. You picked up your pen and thought in silence. After a long time, you finally decided. This is the one. The next day, after a quick breakfast, without notifying Seraphina, you took a taxi to Starry Entertainment alone. Seraphine was still busy working in her office. She was very surprised to see you visiting suddenly. You actually have time to come? You only have 3 days left, big brother. Why aren't you busy writing songs? You smiled, much to Seraphina's shock. You handed the manuscript paper to her to look at first. You think this one should be okay, right? Seraphina looked at you as if you were a monster. A capable, mature woman. Are you joking? What kind of good song could be written in one night? She frowned as she took the manuscript paper, wondering if you were just making it up. Yesterday, she thought this young man was steady and excellent. Today, he was coming to prove her wrong. She wanted to see exactly what he had written in one night. Seraphina focused her eyes on the manuscript paper. She remained calm as she slowly finished reading the lyrics. Everything spoke of the ordinary, yet everything revealed something extraordinary. These lyrics hit the theme directly. Then Seraphina impatiently looked at the sheet music. A moment later, she suddenly looked up at Arthur. Her eyes shone. Did you really write this in one night? Arthur rubbed his nose. I stayed up all night to finish it. Well? Seraphina's eyes grew even brighter. She stared intently at Arthur. My choice was right after all. Can you sing a bit for me? Arthur nodded and closed his eyes to prepare his emotions. One day, we might drift far apart. Perhaps we will meet again. After it ended, Seraphina was still lost in the song. Not until Arthur coughed lightly twice did she suddenly snap back to reality. She hurriedly wiped the tears from her face. Her eyes were so bright that Arthur felt embarrassed to look at her. He could only ask with some uncertainty, "Is it okay? You could give us such a big surprise." The office door suddenly opened. Li Tian walked in while clapping. His face showed obvious surprise. Behind him followed Harvey, the head of human resources. At this moment, Harvey was clearly filled with shock. He could not believe how much time had passed. And yet you actually produced a song, and such a perfect one at that. Seeing the newcomers, she secretly wiped the tears from her face again, shouted at Arthur with dissatisfaction. But Arthur had no intention of repenting. He continued to smile, though the look in his eyes was somewhat strange, as he looked at his daughter's submissive manner. If I hadn't come, how could I have known young Mr. Liu produced such a great song? You were speechless that he had changed from Mr. Liu to young Mr. Liu, and couldn't help but complain internally. Only those who bring him profit are considered family. You flatter me, chairmanly. Very satisfied. Once this song is selected by Huang, we will sign the contract with Seraphina immediately. For now, I will sign a cooperation agreement with young Mr. Liu first, to ease young Mr. Liu's worries. You finally breathed a sigh of relief. Since everything was almost certain, your group signed the agreement on the spot. As long as the song is selected, the cooperation you discussed with Starry Entertainment will begin immediately. After signing, you said goodbye to Arthur and left first. I hope we can have a pleasant cooperation in the future. You nodded slightly and turned to walk out of the office. I'll see you out. Seeing you about to leave, Licia suddenly spoke. You noticed she had been avoiding your gaze, as if she felt some embarrassment about her previous fangirl-like behavior, which was unlike a mature woman. But now that you were leaving, you saw a hint of inexplicable reluctance in her expression. Don't you still have work left to finish? Lucas isn't a child anymore. There's no need for you to keep escorting him back and forth. Just as you turned your head, Li Tian suddenly spoke up from across from you. Seeing this, you could only smile at Seraphina with gratitude. Thank you for your kindness, Director Li. After saying that, you turned and walked out of the office, gently closing the door behind you, and walked away with large strides. Inside the office, Seraphina now looked like an angry kitten. Dad, what do you mean? He just arrived with a song. You turned around and sent him away immediately. How can you be like this? Seeing this scene, Harvey, who was still in the room, suddenly felt a chill run down his spine. He swallowed hard and hurriedly said, I still have some work left to finish. I'll take my leave. Before Li Tian could speak, Harvey bolted out of the room, closing the door tightly behind him. It wasn't until he was outside that he wiped the fine sweat from his forehead. Looking at his daughter's behavior, Li Tian did not get angry. It's time to find a partner. That Lucas kid is quite good. But don't forget, he already has a wife. And as far as I know, he even has a daughter. After a moment of sudden silence, Seraphina spoke coldly. I only saw him off because you invited him here. It's as simple as that. The mature woman returned to her cold demeanor. Her aura was so intimidating that even her father, Li Tian, felt a bit nervous. Fine, as long as you know. I suddenly remembered. After saying that, Arthur turned to leave, but just as he stepped out the door, he suddenly poked his head back in. I really should find a partner. You just got back to the hotel and haven't even picked your flight yet. But Licia called. Mr. Liu, I'm sorry. On the phone, Seraphina expressed her apologies. Her tone was somewhat cold, as if she were still angry with someone. You were a bit surprised, but you didn't take it to heart. Besides, Arthur had already been quite subtle. As a big player in the industry, whether there was an intention to discard him once he was no longer useful. Having seen all kinds of people in the capital market, you already understood. It's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. JTY Cafe, don't take it to heart. CTY Cafe, hearing you say that CTY Cafe. Seraphina's tone softened slightly. As long as you don't mind. By the way, are you on your way back to the hotel? By the way, are you on your way back to the hotel? I've already arrived at the hotel. I'm planning to pack up. Once I book my flight, I'll head back to Jiangqing. There was a brief silence on the other end of the line. Then, Seraphina's voice came through again. Mr. Liu, you'd better wait 2 more days. If your lyrics are selected, Huang will likely still need your assistance. After all, you wrote both the lyrics and the music, so you understand this song best. Hearing Seraphina's words, your plans to go home were ruined. All right, I understand. Just let me know when the time comes. The call with Seraphina ended. You regretfully put down your phone and turned to look at the scenery flying past the window. You were starting to miss the little one at home. Thinking of Lily. A smile unexpectedly spread across your face, as if sharing a telepathic connection. Seraphina's call came through at that moment. Lily's voice immediately came from the other end of the line. Hello, is that Daddy? Even without seeing Lily, an ant-like smile still spread across your face. You replied, Lily, do you miss Daddy? Do you miss him? Mommy wants to know when you're coming back. Back at home. Snuggling in Seraphina's arms, she spoke sweetly. Seraphina's pretty face immediately flushed. She gave the little one a helpless look. It was clearly she was the one insisting on calling Daddy. How did I get dragged into this now? Then tell Mommy, Daddy, how many more days until you can come back? You smiled secretly. This little one must be using Seraphina to get me to come home. Lily, hearing this, clearly became a bit unhappy, grumbling on the phone. Your lips curled slightly as you shifted into a comfortable position on the bed and asked, Lily, did you eat well today? Lily immediately looked up at her mother upon hearing this. Then, like a little thief, she lowered her head and whispered, but Lily wants to eat Daddy's cooking more. The little one's tone was extremely serious. So serious that even the eavesdropping Seraphina was moved to laughter. Complaining at such a young age, are we? Indirectly saying my cooking isn't good. Then Seraphina heard from the other end of the phone. Your loud laughter made Seraphina's face flush even deeper. She snatched the phone away. All right, our chat for today with Dad ends here. Hey, I wasn't the one who asked. I know. You replied with a smile to her defense. Seraphina only felt even more annoyed. Are you holding back a laugh? Fine, you've only been gone for 1 day. What could have happened? Hanging up. I haven't finished chatting with the little one yet. Seraphina didn't give you the chance. She hung up directly. If she kept talking, she was afraid she would want to hit someone. Seeing Lily still staring at the phone with regret, Seraphina decided that for lunch today, she would make the green vegetables Lily dislikes the most. That's right, children shouldn't be picky eaters. You heard the busy signal from the receiver. While feeling regretful, a smile still remained on your face. This was the first time you had seen Seraphina show such small emotions. Before, she always gave you a sense of being suppressed. How should I put it? You would call her someone lacking a soul of her own. But now, this situation was slowly improving. She was becoming herself again. The wait was long. A few days later, August would arrive. You had already spent 2 days in Shanghai. During this time, you and Seraphina spoke on the phone a few times. The relationship between you two was no longer so distant. At least Seraphina no longer addressed you formally as Sir every time, which had made you feel very awkward. You continued your morning runs these past 2 days. Everything seemed calm, and there was no news from Huang yet. You could only wait patiently. On the evening of the 3rd day, you received a call from a stranger yet familiar number. Hello, is this old Lu? It's Chen Shun. Hearing this, you quickly searched through the original owner's memories. It's the best friend from the original owner's college days. Are you crazy? It's been a long time. Thinking of Chen Shun's character and personality in the original owner's memory, you spoke with a smile. Having a true friend. Old Lu, how have you been since you got married? You haven't been answering your calls. On the other end of the line, the faint tone of concern made your heart feel warm. It was only because after the original owner got married, he always wanted to curry favor with Chen Shui and Yi Tian, leaving no time to even attend to his best friend. It was my fault before. Forgive me this time. Let me treat you to dinner next time we meet. While saying this, you secretly scolded the original owner in your mind. This thing is so confusing, I can't tell if it's a person or a ghost. Cafe. This is such an embarrassment to Lucas. Ikafe. Haha, you said it. Let's talk next time we meet. But, after saying that, Chen Shin hung up. Just as you hung up, Seraphina called you. Your song was selected by Huang. They selected this song from thousands of submissions with just one glance. Seraphina's tone was very excited. When she called you, she said Huang is preparing to film an MV. They need you, as the songwriter, to provide on-site guidance. You went downstairs. Your eyes brightened slightly as you rubbed your nose. You automatically ignored Seraphina's gaze. If you finish early, you can still make it in time for lunch. Without a second thought, you climbed into the back seat. The front passenger seat was too large for you. The director in charge of filming the MV from Huang called and kept praising you. Do you have any ideas for the MV or the lead singer? Don't go there and mess things up. Seraphina was clearly worried. You're young and haven't experienced anything like this before. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. There was no sign of nervousness on your face. Seraphina glanced at you through the rearview mirror. Seeing that you truly weren't nervous, she stopped bringing it up. 2 hours later, the car stopped in the parking lot in front of a large building. The two of you walked into the building side by side. Seraphina must have made an appointment with someone beforehand. As soon as you entered the building, a group of people came to greet you. Grandpa Lin, why did you come down personally? If my dad finds out, he'll scold me to death. Seraphina walked forward quickly. She took the leader's hand and acted spoiled. This action startled you. Even a goddess couldn't resist such a charming, spoiled side. A smile bloomed on the leader's face. Full of pampering. Your dad wouldn't dare scold you. The mature woman blushed rarely. She said playfully, all right. Thank you for the praise, Grandpa. You nodded politely to the old man. Good. Both talented and polite. Truly worthy of the person who wrote this song. I am the director in charge of this MV. Lin Silly, if you don't mind. You can just call him Grandpa Lin, along with Lee. Grandpa Lin, then I shall not be impolite. A faint smile remained on your face. All right, then let's head upstairs. Lin Silly was very happy. Even his way of addressing you changed. He directly pulled your hand toward the elevator. He had no intention of introducing the others behind him, but you still nodded to those middle-aged people. The elevator rose directly to the 20th floor. As soon as they left the elevator, Lin Silly pulled you into the recording studio. Little Lou, Lee told me you sing very well. Could you sing a bit first? We haven't heard this song since we received it. The lead singer hasn't been decided yet. A cappella or... This song only needs piano accompaniment. All right. When it came to business, Lin Silly became noticeably more serious. He left you alone in the recording studio and took everyone else out. As the staff turned on the microphone, the middle-aged people in the crowd were also looking forward to it. You walked into the recording studio. To those outside, you became very serious. Your expression changed visibly. Seeing this, Lin Silly nodded. Inside, you began to play the piano. The intro to Ordinary began to play. Everyone outside immediately held their breath. Listening to the piano, their eyes all turned toward the inside. Whether here or on the other side, long distances and separations, joy and sorrow, people gathering and parting, just stood up and walked out of the recording studio. The group outside was still staring at you blankly. The next moment, everyone couldn't help but applaud for you. Lin Silly even stepped forward excitedly to shake your hand. With burning eyes, little Lou, it's exactly this feeling. I don't think we need to change the lead singer. It'll be you. I have a feeling. This song will cause a stir on the internet. A storm of ordinary hero. This is exactly the effect we want to see. Those heroes who contribute silently deserve to be heard. Being praised so much by the old man made you blush slightly, but you shook your head and said to Lin Silly sincerely, Grandpa Lin, I won't be the lead singer. Lin Silly frowned. Is there a better singer than the songwriter? Seeing Lin Silly's obvious reluctance, you stopped teasing and quickly shared your thoughts. I think this song is more suitable for children to sing. On one hand, children's voices are clearer and more ethereal. On the other hand, let the flowers of the nation sing for the nameless heroes. Lin Silly's eyes widened. My God, this person is a genius. Children inherently possess an attribute that makes people feel a sense of closeness. Having them sing, combined with the footage I filmed, will definitely touch people's hearts. Incredible, as expected of the young man I've chosen. Lin Silly's gaze became even more eager. Even the middle-aged people behind him felt as if they had a sudden moment of enlightenment. They all looked at Arthur in disbelief. They had selected these clips from thousands of pieces of footage, matching the duration of this song. They just couldn't decide on a lead singer. They didn't expect you to solve it with a single sentence. Little Lou, you are truly a talent. Are you interested in coming to work for us at Hwine? Don't worry, your talent certainly won't be buried at Hwine. It was clear that Lin Silly was moved by your talent. He wanted to bring you to his side, feeling that someone like you was too much of a waste to leave out in the world. No. Grandpa Lin, I am already satisfied that I could help you this time. You waved your hands repeatedly in refusal. Lin Silly was speechless. Are all salted fish like this nowadays? But he didn't insist. After all, you were right there. He would just find you again if such an opportunity arose in the future. By the time you walked out of the Hwine building, it was already 1 p.m. Your head was feeling heavy. They all became incredibly active, almost like workaholics. Once those people started talking about work, in the end, it was only because Seraphina acted spoiled and said she wanted to go to lunch that you two finally escaped. You should treat me to a meal, shouldn't you? Licia acted unusually playful, thinking about how they were going to make a fortune with Hwine co-creation. She stuck out her tongue and teased that this mature woman was losing her mature vibe. You raised an eyebrow. Are you trying to fleece a commoner like me? How shameless. You're so stingy, Licia said, rolling her eyes at you. She huffed and got into the car first. You smiled and quickly followed. The more familiar you became with this mature woman, the more you could feel that she truly had a great personality. There was none of the intimidating pressure from when you first met. In the end, you still couldn't escape this meal. Licia happily enjoyed a big feast on your tab. After lunch, Licia drove you to Starry Entertainment. The reason for this visit was to get the contract, which was also your original goal. Seraphina's signing contract. As the two of you rode the elevator, for some reason, you suddenly felt that Licia's mood didn't seem very high. She seemed listless, even though she had just enjoyed a big meal. You really couldn't understand a woman's mind. It was too difficult to grasp. After exiting the elevator, you went straight to Arthur's office. She had already been waiting in the office for a long time. The contract was already prepared and placed on the desk. She wore her unchanging, eternal smile. Looking at you as you entered, she said, "The contract is here. See if there is anything else that needs to be added." You nodded and sat down at the desk. You began reviewing the contract. It was very professional. It would take effect immediately once Seraphina signed it. The contents of the contract were the same as what was discussed before. Starry Entertainment would provide Seraphina with top-tier resources and the maximum amount of freedom. Seraphina could do whatever she wanted. No one could force her, and this was exactly what you wanted to see. The contract term was 2 years. Whether to renew after that would depend entirely on Seraphina's own wishes. After finishing the contract, you put it away. Thank you, Chairman Lee. Your impression of Arthur had also improved significantly. At least he wasn't like other unscrupulous capitalists, whose contracts were full of traps. You're welcome. You value our company's resources. It's just mutually beneficial. Also, you once promised to write songs for our company. I won't make a separate contract for that. I trust Lou's character. Li Tian also stood up, but he stated his position as well. Don't worry, but I've set a condition beforehand. I will only write title tracks, and who I write for is entirely up to my own will. Don't let just anyone come to me to write songs. He had the talent to back up that attitude. Li Tian's impression of you was getting better and better, but when he saw his daughter's expression, he sighed secretly in his heart. It was such a pity, at such a young age. Why marry so early? With Lu's talent, he wouldn't lack songs to become the company's top singer. Li Tian suddenly changed the subject. When are you planning to head back, Lu? You didn't know what he meant by asking that, but you answered immediately. I plan to head back to the hotel to pack now. I'll book a flight and leave in a bit. After all, I'm no longer needed here. Chairman Lee, is there anything else you need to instruct? Then I wish you a smooth journey, Li Tian said with a busy smile. It's just that this smile, in your eyes. Why did he seem so happy to hear you were leaving? Without thinking much of it, you stood up to leave. Seraphina saw you all the way to the hotel entrance. She didn't follow you. Since entering Starry Entertainment, her interest didn't seem very high. I won't see you off to the airport, Lucas. Go by yourself. I have some business to attend to, so I'm leaving. You turned and waved. Okay. Take care on the road. Then you turned to walk back into the hotel. Seraphina watched your back, feeling inexplicably angry. She stepped on the gas and drove away. I can finally go home. I miss my little baby so much. You quickly packed your luggage. Booking the flight, checking out, and calling a taxi were all done in one go. At 6 p.m., you walked into the familiar, old residential area, carrying a large bag full of gifts. Your steps became even lighter until you pushed open the long-awaited door. The living room was quiet. Seraphina and Lily didn't seem to be home. Not seeing the people you wanted to see immediately, you felt a faint sense of disappointment. The door to the main bedroom was suddenly pushed open. Seraphina walked out, rubbing her confused eyes, looking lovely. The moment she saw you, she jolted awake, her eyes widening unconsciously as she looked at you. She was wearing a camisole nightgown, with one strap slipped down to her arm. Her hair was messy from sleep. Her slightly parted lips and sleepy, beautiful appearance met your eyes. You both froze at the same time under the soft light, just quietly looking at each other. Then, a bright smile gradually spread across your face as you spoke. Seraphina's face slowly flushed with a rosy hue. I'm back. I stood there, not knowing what to do. Feeling a bit panicked, yet a hint of sweetness surged within. She lowered her head and responded softly, not forgetting to subconsciously quietly pull at your shoulder, right? You suddenly took out a bouquet of lavender from behind. I happened to see someone selling them by the roadside. Seraphina pursed her lips and stepped forward to gently take the lavender from your hands. Her face was already covered in a rosy glow. This was the first bouquet of lavender you ever gave her. Its language is redemption and hope. Seraphina mustered the courage to lift her head and look directly into your eyes. Her eyelashes fluttered gently. You suddenly smiled. Not yet. I bet you haven't eaten either, so I'll make dinner. Seraphina's original intention was to cook herself. Since you had just returned from outside, you must be tired from the day. But seeing the determination in your eyes, and remembering that your cooking is much better than hers, she finally nodded. She knew you being back would surely make her happy. She has been asking about you these past 2 days, Seraphina said, turning back toward the master bedroom. This time, she did not close the door. Instead, she left it open, and you looked inside. Lily was lying sprawled out on the bed, sleeping soundly. Seraphina picked her up very gently. She didn't even react until Seraphina brought the little one in front of you and whispered something into her ear after kissing her small face. Lily suddenly moved. She slowly opened those cute almond eyes, looking around in confusion. Then the little one's eyes suddenly lit up. Her 2 little hands reached out and waved at Arthur. "It's Daddy. I missed you so much, Lily." The little one, like a koala, clung to Arthur's neck and refused to let go after being held. Even when Arthur went to the kitchen to cook, it was only because Seraphina put on a stern face, combined with the temptation of a new toy Arthur bought, that the little one was finally taken down and placed on the sofa. Lily played with her toys, her big eyes occasionally glancing toward the kitchen, afraid that Arthur's figure would disappear again. After working for a while, the family sat happily around the dining table. Seraphina looked down. Lily was already holding her small chopsticks, slurping noodles so fast they were instantly swallowed. At the same time, her eyes had turned into crescents. She ate as if Seraphina hadn't fed her for days, leaving Seraphina both angry and helpless. There was nothing left to say but to admit defeat. This also caused Seraphina to speed up her own eating. Why did they not seem to have this appetite when it was just the 2 of them at home? As soon as he returned, they both inexplicably relaxed. Seraphina thought to herself while eating. Thinking about it was terrifying. They used to want to stay far away from this man. Yet in such a short time, they had been subtly corrupted by Arthur. Only the sound of slurping remained at the table. Seraphina only realized after she finished eating that you and Lily had finished long ago. Both of them gave her a synchronized bow. Seraphina's pretty face flushed again. She hurriedly wiped her mouth and stood up to hide her embarrassment. She began clearing the bowls and chopsticks from the table. "Spend more time with Lily," she said, stacking your bowl as well. Then she picked them up and headed to the kitchen, watching Seraphina float to the kitchen like a gust of wind. You shook your head, not intending to compete with her this time. "Why are you panicking? Daddy, come here." Holding Lily's hand, she walked toward the sofa with her, playing with building blocks. With your help, Lily built the shape of a small house with the blocks. While laughing in a milky voice, you intentionally asked about recent news at home. The little one told you everything, especially when it came to Seraphina. The little one completely betrayed her mother. "Mommy misses Daddy too. I see Mommy often watching videos of Daddy singing and smiling secretly." You covered your mouth to hide your laughter, not intending to ask about this. The problem was Lily said it so loudly, not noticing that Seraphina had already stormed out of the kitchen. At this moment, Seraphina's pretty face was as red as a ripe apple, but her eyes were full of coldness as she glared at this little traitor who sold her mom to please her dad. Lily noticed Daddy had suddenly stopped talking. She looked up in confusion and saw her mother's bright red face. She let out a startled cry and hid in your arms, muttering continuously. Seraphina couldn't help but laugh, patting the little one's bottom peeking out from your arm, while staring at your laughing face to explain. "Don't listen to Lily's nonsense." Lily buried her face deep in your arms. She shouted muffledly, looking like Seraphina was about to explode. You immediately raised both hands in surrender and fully revealed the little one. No, a wise man knows when to yield. She was immediately snatched up by Seraphina and started being pampered. The little one's big eyes sparkled. She reached out toward you, who were sitting upright in the distance. She never expected you to sell her out to her mother so quickly, and placed it in front of Seraphina. "I can only let my little baby suffer a bit." Lily ultimately endured everything all alone, looking pitiful. As she played with blocks by herself, you rubbed her little head. Then you stood up and took a paper file folder out of the suitcase, placing it in front of Seraphina. "Take a look. This is the contract from Starry Entertainment." Seraphina looked at your serious expression, indicating her inner turmoil. In just a few days outside, you had truly retrieved a contract for her. Seraphina lowered her head, picked up the file, and opened it. She flipped through the contract inside. By the time she reached the end, her hands began to tremble slightly. The contract. This was a contract she wouldn't even dare to dream of. Even if she had never left the industry to continue singing, she still wouldn't have a contract like this even now. Seraphina didn't know how you did it. What did you go through in just a few days? It was an unimaginable signing contract. Seraphina looked up, her eyes filled with tears as she pursed her lips, staring directly at you. You still had a gentle smile on your face, as if everything was perfectly calm. After a long moment, Seraphina spoke softly. "Lucas, Actually, I don't need to sing. Her voice was small, but there was no hesitation, only determination. You frowned in confusion. She clearly loved singing and wanted to sing. What did she mean by this? You couldn't understand. What on earth was this woman thinking? Why? Didn't you always want to sing? Your tone grew slightly heavier. This was the first time you had spoken to her like this since arriving here. Having been single your whole life, you naturally couldn't understand. Seraphina's mind was a mess right now. She suddenly felt that living like this would be fine. If she really went to sing, she was afraid things would change. She was afraid life would never be like this again. Seraphina pursed her lips slightly again, looking straight at you as tears fell one by one. Afraid that bad changes would happen in the future. This was the first time Seraphina directly told you the fears in her heart. You froze for a moment. Then your furrowed brow smoothed into a smile. A very warm smile. You reached out to gently wipe the tears from Seraphina's face. Seraphina, what kind of person do you think I am? I am telling you very seriously, don't worry. No matter what happens, nothing will change. After all, I am prepared to be a full-time stay-at-home dad. Seraphina never expected you to say that. You even reached out to wipe her tears away. Having not experienced this level of intimacy for so long, Seraphina immediately lowered her head in shyness. Her slightly flushed face instantly turned bright red. She didn't even have time to think about her messy thoughts anymore. You thought she was still afraid of these chaotic things. Now you knew. Seraphina was likely afraid of change. After all, someone who has stayed home for too long without going out will always have this mindset. So you spoke again. I'm serious, just leave Lily to me. And you've seen that your contract allows for a lot of freedom. Don't worry about home. As you spoke, Seraphina didn't hear a single word. Her mind was still stuck on the moment you gently stroked her face. On the sofa, Lily had long since started, secretly watching the interaction between her parents. She clearly saw that on her mother's lowered face. The corners of her mouth were already curling up slightly, while her father was still there, nagging without end. Being so small, she didn't know what was happening. She only knew that her mother must be happy now. And since her father was still worrying about her mother, she lunged onto your lap, looking up with her big eyes blinking, and said on a sudden whim, Lily wants to sleep with mommy and daddy tonight. You were instantly frozen. You looked at the little one with shock, your heart pounding as if it were about to leap out of your chest. Please, since you didn't agree. Lily began her cute tantrum, rolling around on your lap. You swallowed hard and turned to look at Seraphina, whose neck was flushed bright red. Avoiding her gaze, you said, You'll have to ask your mother if she agrees. How could Seraphina even answer that? She was so shy she was on the verge of a breakdown, getting up and walking toward the bathroom. Only you and Lily were left in the living room. You stared at each other, completely at a loss. Lily, however, bounced up from your lap, wrapped her arms around your neck, and said, As long as it's okay. You turned to look at the closed bathroom door, faintly hearing the sound of washing inside. Then I guess it's okay, you said, taking a deep breath of the milky scent on the little one, trying to steal your courage. After a long while, Seraphina finally emerged from the bathroom. She walked toward the bedroom without a word, not even glancing toward the sofa. You then picked up Lily and went into the bathroom, helping the little one wash up before quickly washing yourself. Only then did you come out carrying the little one. Your heart only began to race wildly at this moment. The short distance from the living room to the master bedroom felt like an eternity. By the time you finally stepped into the bedroom, your mind was completely blank. You hadn't experienced anything like this in either of your two lives. At this moment, you desperately wanted to seek help. What should you do? Seraphina had already crawled under the covers. She was turned inward, making it impossible to see her expression clearly. Only her translucent, rosy earlobes revealed her current state. You gently closed the door, the sound making Seraphina's body flinch. But she still didn't get up. You had completely given up at this point. Since it had already come to this, your mindset became much more relaxed. Placing Lily in the middle, you sat on the other side of the bed and pulled Lily into your arms, beginning to tell her a bedtime story. Today, Daddy will tell Lily the story of Snow White. Your gentle voice echoed in the room. Seraphina's eyelashes twitched slightly. As the story unfolded, her racing heart slowly calmed down, and eventually, she fell asleep without realizing it. Lily also slowly fell asleep to your story. The night grew deep, and seeing their breathing steady, you finally turned off the light. The pillow held that familiar, faint, fresh fragrance. So this is how fragrant a girl's pillow can be. You pulled Lily closer, accompanied by the scent. The night passed. The next day, your biological clock remained punctual. 6 a.m. Subconsciously, you hugged the soft, delicate body in your arms. Then suddenly froze. Since when did Lily grow this big? You swallowed hard and looked into the covers. There was no sign of Lily in your arms. Not the little one. How did she crawl into your arms? A faint, fresh fragrance lingered at the tip of your nose. The delicate body in your arms was soft and warm. Your composure shattered instantly. You unconsciously leaned down until you were close to Seraphina's beautiful face. You froze there, locked in a fierce internal struggle. Startled, you quickly sat upright again. You quietly withdrew your arm from beneath her neck. Leaning forward, you carefully climbed out of bed. You felt defeated as you went to the bathroom to wash up. This was far too much torture for so early in the morning. What you didn't know was that right after you left the bedroom, Seraphina opened her beautiful almond eyes on the bed. Letting out a small sigh of relief, she hid her burning face under the covers, looking too embarrassed to show her face. When you sat up, Seraphina had already woken up. She didn't know when she had crawled into your arms, or how she had even used your arm as a pillow. It was so embarrassing, until she felt your breath on her face. What should she do? Seraphina was panicking intensely at that moment. Yet she didn't dare wake up. Fortunately, you stopped yourself in time. Otherwise, she really wouldn't have known how to face you. But after you finally pulled away, Seraphina didn't know if she was prepared. She only knew her heart was in chaos. It took a long time before she could let out a deep breath, hearing the sound of the door opening again outside. After tidying up, you walked out of the room and arrived in the kitchen to prepare breakfast. Seeing Seraphina come out, you greeted her somewhat awkwardly. Seraphina's expression was also a bit awkward. She didn't even look up at you, only giving a soft response. After saying that, he went into the bathroom to wash up. You didn't think much of it and turned back to continue making breakfast. Unexpectedly, Seraphina finished washing up very quickly. She walked straight into the kitchen. "Let me help you cook." Seraphina naturally and skillfully took the bowl from your hands to help rinse the rice. You were momentarily stunned, but quickly reacted. You happily accepted her kindness and turned to start washing the vegetables. The two of you worked in perfect harmony, like a married couple who had lived together for many years. 20 minutes later, the golden millet porridge and 2 side dishes were ready. You took off your apron and washed your hands. You naturally walked into the master bedroom to wake Lily, who was sleeping at the edge of the bed. After the family enjoyed a pleasant breakfast, you looked at Seraphina and asked, "Are you reporting to Starry Entertainment in early August?" Hearing this, Seraphina also sat on the sofa. Her beautiful eyes blinked. "Before that, I need to pick up Choo Choo first, then go find Sister Yin. If they knew I could make a comeback, they would definitely be very happy." A sincere smile appeared on her face. When she abruptly left the industry before, the two people she felt most guilty toward were them. Now, even if not for her own dreams, she had to work hard for their sake. You nodded. "What kind of song should I write for Seraphina? This is her first battle since her comeback. It must be a great success. Seraphina's voice is very good. Whether it is a sweet song or a sad one, she can handle any style." You were also indecisive for a moment, and after thinking for a while, you found no answer. Then you thought of something else. "I should buy a car in a few days. Lily will be starting kindergarten in a month. It will be more convenient for picking her up and dropping her off. Besides, although Starry Entertainment will provide you with a van, during your free time, when you are out and about, you used to stay at home and never go out. Having a car didn't matter before, but now you need to go out often. Not having a car is indeed inconvenient, but she was worried you wouldn't have enough money. After all, the earnings from your first 2 videos were used to buy a lot of furniture, and you had another trip. She didn't know how much was left, and Lily would be starting kindergarten soon. That would be another expense." After deep thought, a hint of worry appeared in her brow. "Let's buy one first. It will be easier to pick up the child. I have a company car for when I am out. I shouldn't need one for now. Once you earn more money." Seraphina thought about waiting until her songs and albums brought in revenue before considering these issues. Thinking of this, Seraphina felt a bit worried. She wasn't even sure when she would have songs to sing. Although the contract with Starry Entertainment provides top-tier resources, it also includes a clause about song freedom. She didn't know how you negotiated with the company. If the resources are top-tier, why won't they help her arrange songs? She was confused, as she didn't know many songwriters. Thinking of songwriters, Seraphina suddenly froze, then looked at you, who appeared calm. He seems to know how to write songs, though she doesn't know when he learned. But those 2 songs on TikTok, one of them was even taught to Lily by you in person. You naturally understood Seraphina's worry about not being able to afford a car, and calmly waved your hand. "You don't need to worry about not having enough money. Just wait a little while. Money will be coming in a few days." On Sunday, at exactly 8 a.m., the new MV went live. It was released as a co-creation between Hwain and Lucas's account, jointly reposting with other departments at the same time. The lineup was unprecedentedly luxurious. Who's she? No matter how luxurious the lineup is it Lucas? The audience cares about quality above all else. The lyrics and music are, "Who is Lucas? Only if the quality is good. Who is Lucas? Only if the quality is good. My song." Only then will people care about the story behind this MV. Lucas's lyrics and music, the piano, there is a saying circulating online right now. Regarding my songs. They are legendary. Lucas produced it. It's bound to be a masterpiece. Seeing that the lyrics and music for this MV were actually by Lucas, everyone instantly became interested. This mysterious guy doesn't act unless he means business. But when he does, it's always stunning. So, viewers began clicking on the MV, wanting to witness the spectacle, until the music and the last piece of material disappeared. But Lucas's figure never appeared. You remained just as mysterious. The figures in this video left a deep impression on everyone's hearts. The views and likes have been increasing for a long time since the official video was released. Even long after the video was released, not a single person had liked it. Everyone seems to have disappeared at once. Inside the Hawaiian conference room at this moment, Lin Silly had been watching the real-time online data. He didn't understand why over 100 million people were watching at the same time. Yet there wasn't a single like. Did everyone disapprove of this video? Lin Silly felt somewhat disappointed. He wiped his reddened eyes. It is somewhat difficult to accept this situation. However, in the next moment, the video's data suddenly took off. The number of likes and comments exploded like a flood. It was unstoppable. This was the first time in history that in such a short period of time, the data had risen like a geyser. In just a few breaths, the number of likes soared from 100,000 to 5 million, then to 10 million. The platform experienced its first ever screen freeze. Even so, it seemed unable to stop the netizens from liking and commenting. At first, they were curious about this MV released by Hwang. When they saw that Lucas wrote the lyrics and composed the music, they were expectant. But now, after watching it in full, they were completely moved. Being moved was the most direct feeling in everyone's hearts right now. This video also surged directly from the bottom to the trending searches, firmly occupying the top of the trending list. A sudden burst of cheering erupted in the Hawaiian conference room. Lin Silly also clenched his fists in excitement, watching the rapidly rising data in silence. It turned out that people weren't unmoved. They just hadn't had time to process those emotions. Another half hour passed. This popularity was not only. It even spread to Weibo, making the music for Ordinary Hero go viral. The Weibo trending topics were filled with discussions about this MV. Netizens were constantly discussing it. It was unknown which netizen was the first to see the pure version uploaded to the Hawaiian platform. The music for Just Ordinary was even set to free. At this moment, everyone who had watched the MV had saved it, and the rating on the Hawaiian platform reached 3.90. Download and save to QQ. That day, the entire Chinese entertainment industry was shaken. No matter the entertainment company or individual, they all silently reposted it after watching the video. They were incredibly envious of such popularity. They were incredibly envious. They could only silently try to ride the wave of this hype. Meanwhile, Seraphina was sobbing softly in your arms, wiping her tears and nose on the corner of your clothes, looking like a pitiful, wronged little thing, making your heart ache. It was just watching a video. There was no need to cry. What had you been busy with outside these past few days? To create a song like this and collaborate with Hwang, and to help yourself secure that unrealistic contract. She didn't even know what you had gone through. She felt aggrieved because you did so much while you were away, without telling her, and she wondered if you had suffered any losses or lost your temper with anyone, or how much energy you had spent to create such a song. At the same time, Lu Li's expression was as dark as if it could drip water. Her manager, Sister Chin, also looked very grim. Only Zhao Chu was laughing secretly nearby, looking quite gloating. Lu Li glanced at her manager. She felt even more that this aging woman was truly useless. Sister Chin, wasn't your song originally scheduled to launch on Hawaiian at the end of July? What's going on now? The song was taken down, and the company's promotion was already out. I just bought trending searches, and they didn't just quietly delay my song, but even occupied all the trending searches. Sister Chin, you've always been in charge of this. You need to give me an explanation. Sister Chin's expression grew even darker. She was already in a bad mood because of this incident, and now Lu Li was even shouting at her. She felt even more infuriated. Who knew where Lucas had come from, making Hawaiian's MV release ahead of schedule with just one song? If she didn't have to rely on Lu Li for a living, Sister Chin wouldn't want to deal with her at all. So what do we do now? Lu Li's tone remained aggressive. Sister Chin frowned. They are all in the same boat now, and she couldn't cause a scene. She gave a sinister smile. Hearing this, Lu Li knew there was no other choice. She cursed Lucas silently in her heart. It was all his fault for stealing the popularity that should have been hers. When Lu Li turned around and saw Zhao Chu giggling nearby, she became even more enraged. Can't you see how chaotic things are over here? Making Zhao Chu unable to help but pick her ear. Oh, my contract expires today. I'm done serving you, Zhao Chu said, laughing loudly. She sat in her chair, crossing her legs and leisurely sipping tea. Luli stood up abruptly. Pointing at Zhao Chu, her face turned pale and purple. She couldn't say a single word for a long time. After lunch, your family of 3 happily took a taxi out. In the afternoon, you arrived at the 4S dealership on time. Welcome. Do you have any models in mind? The salesperson's eyes lit up. She had several years of sales experience. She knew that 80% of families of 3 looking at cars would make a purchase. At home, you and Seraphina had researched this in advance. You only came after finally choosing a model. Do you have the H9? Upon hearing that you indeed had a preferred model, the salesperson's eyes grew even brighter. The cheapest top-spec H9 would cost over $300,000 after taxes and fees. We happen to have the top-spec H9 in stock. And we have 2, one in sand gold. Which one would you like to see first? The salesperson said, leading the 3 of you into the showroom. Let's go with Dragon Purple. This was also something you and Seraphina had decided on beforehand. Dragon Purple looks more elegant. It will also ensure you don't lose face when you are out. You have great taste, sir. Dragon Purple is indeed more suitable for your wife's temperament. As the salesperson spoke, she led you to the car to introduce it. This is the top-spec H9 in Dragon Purple. Sir, please take a seat and try it, you said with a laugh. When Seraphina saw this car, she was clearly quite satisfied with it. Seraphina was a bit shy, her cheeks flushing slightly, but she plucked up her courage and handed Lily to you, then sat inside. She had once dreamed of having a car of her own, realizing it was coming true today. The car was beautiful, with elegant lines and a powerful presence. Seeing how much Seraphina loved it, you happily and generously pulled out your bank card and driver's license. You handed them to the salesperson and said, "This is the one." The salesperson's grin stretched from ear to ear. "All right, sir. I will definitely give you the best discount. Wait while I prepare the paperwork." You didn't have to wait long before the salesperson returned with the contract and all the necessary documents. The group walked to the lounge area and sat down. "Sir, if you pay in full, we can offer it to you for $385,000. Insurance and registration are all included, and we'll even give you a full set of seat covers and a car cover. You can pick up the car tomorrow." Once the paperwork was finished, you arranged with the salesperson to pick up the car tomorrow morning, then left the dealership happily. It was already 5 p.m. by the time you returned home. Just as you arrived, you received a call from Seraphina, the great talent of the Lixing executive office. "It's all because of that MV and the news about you in the executive office. All because of that MV. You're officially famous now, congratulations. You must have gained a lot of benefits this time. It's all thanks to a great talent like you. When is Seraphina coming to report for work?" On the other end of the phone, Lixia teased you and then asked with a smile. You looked at the sofa. Seraphina, who was quietly eavesdropping on your call, smiled. "In a couple of days. Then I will be waiting for her arrival." Lixia was very curious about what kind of personality the woman was. The one who could make you run errands for her like this. The 4S dealership was very efficient. At 10 a.m. the next morning, the salesperson called to notify you that the license plate was ready. The task of picking up the car was given to Seraphina, while you stayed home to look after Lily. After arriving at the 4S dealership, Seraphina successfully picked up the car and, after a test drive, drove toward the city center. She was going to find Chu Chu and Sister Yin to bring them to Starry Entertainment together. Seraphina had already made up her mind to report to Starry Entertainment tomorrow, although you said she could go later. She didn't want to. Besides singing being her dream, she didn't want to be just a pretty face like right now. Seraphina didn't know that Zhao Chu Chu had already resigned. She drove near the Tianmei Entertainment building before calling Zhao Chu Chu. She wanted to give her a surprise, and the call was quickly answered. Seraphina had a smile on her face. Zhao Chu Chu was in her rented apartment. After resigning, she planned to return to her hometown. She had already made up her mind. Just then, she received a call from Seraphina. "If you aren't home, where else would you be? Idiot. Come down quickly. I have something to tell you." Then, "Seraphina, please wait a moment." Zhao Chu Chu suddenly felt a bit panicked. Why was Seraphina at the bottom of her company's building? For a moment, she didn't know how to tell Seraphina about her resignation and moving back home. Fortunately, Zhao Chuchu's rental was not far from the Tianmei Entertainment building. After a short while, she arrived downstairs, out of breath. She looked around. Turning her head, she saw Seraphina getting out of a brand new car, waving at her. Zhao Chu Chu's eyes curved into a beautiful smile. She walked quickly towards Seraphina, looking at the brand new car next to Seraphina. She was in disbelief. That man actually bought a car for Seraphina? Doesn't he treat Seraphina poorly? Seraphina nodded with a smile. Holding Zhao Chu Chu's hand, she said, "It's newly bought. I came today because I have something to discuss with you." Only then did Zhao Chu Chu realize that this Seraphina seemed a bit different from the last time they met. Her skin looked much more radiant. Most importantly, the confidence she possessed seemed to have returned. Seeing her former assistant, Seraphina's eyes shone with admiration. Directly pulled her hand. Choo-choo, come back and be my assistant again. Zhao Choo-choo froze instantly, unable to believe her own ears. But in the next second, she jumped up in excitement. I knew it. We can fight side by side again. However, Seraphina froze. Only then did she realize Choo-choo had already resigned. Instantly, immense guilt and sadness surged into her heart. I'm sorry. I've caused trouble for both Choo-choo and Sister Yin. You need to look toward the future. Then she asked. Zhao Choo-choo immediately gave the address. Knowing Sister Yin was definitely at the hospital taking care of her mother, Seraphina didn't waste a single second. She had Choo-choo get in the car, and they rushed to the hospital. But in the car, Zhao Choo-choo looked at the brand new interior and suddenly asked curiously. Seraphina nodded. Her lips curled up unconsciously. He even helped me negotiate the contract for my comeback. And he bought this car for me too. This single sentence left Zhao Choo-choo's mouth agape in shock. He negotiated the contract for you? Seraphina shook her head, dropping an even bigger bombshell. He negotiated my contract with Starry Entertainment. And it's a top-tier one. Zhao Choo-choo was completely stunned. She couldn't understand how that man could possibly negotiate such a top-tier contract. Seeing her silence. He is being really good to me now. Zhao Choo-choo finally snapped out of it. Seraphina's face flushed red. Soon, they arrived at the hospital and stood in front of room 302 of the inpatient department. The moment she knocked on the door and saw Sister Yin, tears nearly burst from her eyes. Sister Yin, who once had a head of jet black hair, had actually grown white hair. A face of resilience, marked by hardship. This appearance was exactly like his former self. When Sister Yin saw Seraphina, she was also completely stunned. It was Zhao Choo-choo who ran in first to break the silence. Sister Yin, Seraphina, and I came to see you. Sister Yin finally reacted, rubbing her hands in a panic. You're here? Why didn't you tell me in advance? Look at how I am now. Mom's health is fine. After one more surgery, she will recover. But a hint of bitterness was hidden in that smile. But we still owe about 100,000 outside. Seraphina walked into the ward. Sister Yin approached her and took her hand, a relieved smile appearing on her face. That you could come to see me? Sister Yin was only stopping you before for your own good. At this moment, Seraphina could no longer hold back. Sister Yin, I'm sorry. She suddenly threw herself into Sister Yin's arms. Tears fell like raindrops. Sister Yin gently patted her back, comforting her softly. What mother would ever blame her own child? I truly treat you as my own daughter. Hearing these words, Sister Yin continued to hold her, patting her until she cried herself to sleep, lifting her swollen eyes. Looking at Sister Yin's gentle smile, Seraphina pursed her lips. Sister Yin, will you still be my manager? Hearing this, what about your child? Don't worry. In Sister Yin's eyes, Lucas was not someone who knew how to take care of a child. But Seraphina nodded firmly. Lucas is Lily's father. He will take good care of Lily. Sister Yin rubbed her temples. Even if he could take care of the child, making a comeback would not be easy. Do you have a company to sign with? And what resources will the company give you? Before she could finish, Seraphina immediately pulled a contract from her bag and handed it over. Sister Yin, look. Seeing the words Starry Entertainment, Sister Yin froze instantly. She took the contract with doubt. As she flipped through it, she became more and more shocked. By the end, her hands began to tremble slightly. What kind of divine contract is this? Did Seraphina kidnap the boss of Starry Entertainment? Starry Entertainment. Top-tier resources. A 2-year short-term contract. This is simply an unfair clause. Sister Yin looked up, her voice trembling. Of course it's real. It even has Starry Entertainments. But Sister Yin was completely stunned. She had never seen clauses like these in this contract in her entire life as a manager. It was too outrageous. Sister Yin, I'm reporting for duty tomorrow. Seraphina saw that she still didn't believe it. Now Sister Yin finally believed it, but the shock on her face didn't fade at all. How did you sign a contract like this? Seraphina finally breathed a sigh of relief. One sentence directly left Sister Yin speechless. Lucas writes songs and even gets such an outrageous contract? This is simply unheard of. He really did write songs. Seraphina immediately took out her phone and opened the account named Buffon on the platform. Sister Yin took the phone half believing, half doubting. Zhao Choo-choo leaned in from the side as well. The next second, oh my god! Zhao Choo-choo shouted exaggeratedly. Then she quickly covered her mouth. This was a hospital room. Sister Yin was also stunned. What kind of video could have over 100 million likes? Then she saw the account name, Buffon, followed by Huayin co-creation, Buffon Huayin. Sister Yin looked up in confusion as an absurd thought popped into her head. Buffon is Lucas? Zhao Choo-choo also gasped in a low voice. He's the most popular and mysterious guy on the whole internet right now. Looking at the shocked expressions of the two, Sister Yin finally snapped out of it. She returned the phone to Seraphina with a complex look in her eyes. Seraphina, you have a bright future. But she sighed, with your talent. You will definitely find a better manager. Why? Sister Yin, are you abandoning me? Seraphina cried out as Sister Yin looked toward the hospital room. You saw the helplessness on her face. Your mother needs care. I really can't leave. We can hire a nanny. But Sister Yin looked troubled. She had no money to hire a nanny, and staying with Seraphina would only hold her back. Seraphina. After saying that, Sister Yin turned her head away. Not looking at her anymore, Seraphina bit her lip. Why won't Sister Yin go with her? She arrived with hope, but left in disappointment. Seraphina remained silent on the way. After dropping Zhao Chuchu off, she drove home alone. But when the door opened, when you saw her, did everything go smoothly? As soon as you spoke, Seraphina's mouth went silent. Seeing you, as if finding her only support, tears began to well up in her eyes again. Sister Yin won't go with me. You frowned. In your memory, wasn't that strict woman the one who doted on Seraphina the most? Then, Seraphina told you everything that happened at the hospital, telling you all about her grievances. You listened in silence. Only after she finished did you nod thoughtfully. You suddenly stood up. You? Where are you going? Seraphina looked unhappy. Whether it was because you called her a dummy, or because she didn't want you to leave, you turned back with a slight smile. I'm going to find that person who is very important to you. After saying that, you went straight out and found a housekeeping agency. Then, you drove straight to the hospital, but you didn't go to find Sister Yin directly. After learning everything about Sister Yin's mother from the doctor, you went up to the inpatient department and arrived in front of room 302, and took the elderly person's hand. You knocked gently on the door, and a second later, it opened. Sister Yin appeared before you, her eyes slightly red. You stunned her for a moment when she saw you, but you replied in a calm and commanding voice. Sister Yin, aren't you going to let me in first? She stepped aside to let you into the room. As soon as you stepped into the ward, a thin, white-haired elderly person looked over. Before Sister Yin could respond, you quickly walked to the bedside. Hold the elderly person's hand. My wife is a friend of Sister Yin's. She has been here before. Upon hearing this, the elderly person immediately showed a kind smile. So you are Xiao Yun's friend. You are very thoughtful. You immediately chimed in. Being friends with Sister Yin is a blessing for us. My wife talks about how wonderful Sister Yin is every day at home. It's just a pity that for this job, my wife wanted to go with Sister Yin. But she was worried about your health and didn't want to go. My wife went home crying so hard. Sister Yun's expression changed drastically behind you. In her eyes, you were a negotiator sent by Seraphina. What job? Sister Yun's mother did not know the specifics of her daughter's work. Hearing this, her eyebrows immediately furrowed. Mom. Sister Yin glared at you and hurriedly explained, immediately grabbing your hand. You pretended to be hesitant, then spoke slowly. Auntie, this job requires traveling. We originally wanted to hire a nanny for you. Sister Yun is worried. Xiao Yun. Mom, Sister Yun is getting anxious. She hates you even more because she knows she wants to stay. The real reason is that he can't leave. Where would she get the money for a nanny? Even the money for the next surgery is still uncertain. Just then, let's go out and talk. After saying this, you smiled at the elderly woman. Then you turned and walked out of the hospital room. Sister Yin grit her teeth and followed you out. In the hallway, Sister Yin looked up and glared at you. What exactly are you trying to do? You looked down at her. You can think of me as a villain. I just don't want Seraphina to be sad. If you don't go with her, even if she's very enthusiastic, she'll only be able to give 50% effort at best. You paused before dropping a bombshell. Auntie, I'll pay for the next surgery. I've also arranged the nanny. You're just charity giving to me. Sister Yin let out an angry laugh. You shrugged like a hooligan. You're overthinking it. In the future, it will be deducted from Seraphina's salary to you. You looked straight at her. You and Chuchu are Seraphina's responsibility. It has nothing to do with the company. I don't care how much salary she pays you. Anyway, this is my money, and you must pay me back. You spread your hands, acting like someone who has nothing to lose. Anyway, I've already paid for the surgery and the nanny. I'm not taking it back, so whatever you do next is none of my business. Having said that, you gave Sister Yin no time to react. Turning to leave, Lucas, don't tell Seraphina. As you approached the door, Sister Yun's voice came from behind you. Without looking back, you simply waved your hand. In the hallway, Sister Yun watched the direction where you disappeared. Returned to the ward after a long time. Xiao Yun, that young man went back to see her, and then came in alone. He's a good person. You can tell what kind of person he is just by looking into his eyes. The elderly woman held her daughter's hand. If you choose wrong, you'll regret it later. But isn't my health fine? One more surgery, and I'll be fully recovered. The doctor also said the risk isn't high. If it really causes you regret in the future, then I would truly be heartbroken, Mom. Finally, she nodded gently. As for you, Seraphina leaned closer. Her small face was full of curiosity, but you deliberately ignored her. Lily. Seraphina's expression froze instantly. She looked at you in disbelief as you walked straight past her. Daddy makes everything you love to eat. You didn't notice her face falling. You kissed the little one and turned toward the kitchen. Lucas. Her face was full of grievance, as if accusing you. This guy was actually ignoring her. Did he not know how anxiously she was waiting at home? You turned around. Seraphina was even angrier. She had called you a dummy so gently when leaving. But now that you were back, you were playing dumb, making her sit on the sofa in frustration. She crossed her arms and turned her head to glare at Arthur. Remember to bring those 2 loyal bodyguards of yours when you go out tomorrow. With a temper like yours. Seraphina's eyes instantly sparkled. Even Arthur was amazed by how fast her expression changed. What do you think? I'm going to cook now. Don't disturb me. Seraphina never managed to ask how you did it. Because whenever she asked, you played dumb. The look in her eyes grew brighter and brighter. She probably felt that since you changed, there was nothing you couldn't do. Early the next morning, Seraphina got up. It was rare for Arthur not to go out for a run. The two of them worked together in the kitchen to make breakfast in perfect sync. Lily was still sleeping. Seraphina was afraid that if she saw her wake up, she wouldn't be able to bear leaving. Once breakfast was ready, Arthur sat beside her, nagging and giving instructions. Remember to call often when you are over there. Otherwise, Lily will miss you. If anything happens while you are out, remember to tell me. Don't keep it all to yourself like a fool. Seraphina ate her porridge spoonful by spoonful. Hearing your words, she suddenly felt a sense of loss. She didn't want to leave. She ate the meal extremely slowly, until the bowl was nearly empty. Hey, I'll be there in a moment. Then I'll see you downstairs at my place. Be there or be square. Seraphina looked up at Arthur. The complex expression in her almond eyes made your heart tremble. You had to admit it. You quickly turned your head to look at the luggage in the living room. It was time to leave. I'll take a quick look at Lily, and then we'll go. Seraphina withdrew her gaze. You nodded and walked into the bedroom with her. The little one was sleeping soundly on her back, completely unaware that her mother was about to leave on a long journey. Seraphina leaned down and kissed her small face repeatedly. Then she buried her face in the child's neck, nuzzling her. Only then did she reluctantly get up and walk out of the bedroom, looking back 3 times. You helped carry her luggage to the car and watched her sit in the driver's seat. You closed the car door and walked to the side. I'm leaving. Remember to come home often, otherwise the little one will throw a tantrum. I know. Then Seraphina suddenly turned her head back. Her expression was incredibly serious. I love you. As soon as the words left her mouth. Before you could respond, the car sped away. As the road led to the city center, Zhao Chuchu had been waiting anxiously. Sister Yun beside her shook her head, saying this girl is still so impatient. Seeing Seraphina's car, Sister Shun. Zhao Chuchu quickly waved. Chuchu. Sister Yun, you've been waiting a long time, haven't you? Seraphina took Zhao Chuchu's hand and looked apologetically at Sister Yun. Not long. It's mainly because this girl is too impatient, Sister Yun said with a smile. She never imagined the 3 of them would reunite like this. That man who looked like a pretty boy. Sister Yun, thank you for coming. I didn't know what to do. It's all right, it's all right. Sister Yun patted her hand with a professional expression. You should be thanking your man instead. Enough talk, let's go get the luggage. This made Seraphina blush instantly. She still doesn't know how you convinced Sister Yun. The 3 of them didn't have much luggage. After getting in the car, Zhao Chuchu waved and shouted excitedly. The bright road ahead. We're coming. The car sped toward Shanghai. Meanwhile, at Starry Entertainment in Shanghai, Licia arrived at the office early. But she was restless all day. Finally making it to noon, she checked the time. She immediately went downstairs to the entrance of the tower, wanting to see the woman that guy pampers so much, and what kind of person she really is. Before long, a car with a Jiangxing license plate entered the parking lot. Licia narrowed her eyes slightly. 3 people got out of the car. One was older. Seeing these 2 friends, she knew Seraphina's personality must be wonderful. Then she turned her gaze to the woman in the middle. An oval face and almond eyes, with a gentle smile on her face. She looked like someone who would make you feel protective. No wonder Lucas is so. Licia composed herself. Stepping forward quickly. You must be Seraphina. I am Licia, deputy manager of the HR department at Starry Entertainment. Welcome to the team. Hello. I am Seraphina. She was also observing this mature woman, Jinshin. You have such great elegance, Jinshin. But Licia was thinking to herself. How such a wonderful woman was ever lured away by Lucas. She rarely was the first to look away. Zhao Chuchu. My manager. But she always felt this mature woman was being too polite to her. Seraphina tilted her head in confusion. Suddenly, as if remembering something, her eyes dimmed. Bringing her own team, huh? Then let me show you around first. After all, you will both be working here for the next 2 years. After the tour, I will take you to the apartment. The group followed Li Xia into the tower. All the way, Zhao Chuchu was completely shocked. This was far more luxurious than Tianmei Entertainment in Jiangqing. You could see celebrities from the trending searches at any time. This was nothing like the Tianmei branch. You have to realize that in Jiangcheng, a second-tier singer like Lu Li could act so high and mighty. Li Xia took them up the elevator directly to the 11th floor, enthusiastically introducing that this floor was full of recording studios, all filled with top-tier professional equipment. Next, we will go to the 12th floor. That is where the singers' private lounges are. Creating. Throughout the process, people kept greeting Seraphina. Their faces were filled with strange flattery. Seraphina was even more confused. Why there was jealousy in their eyes when they saw her. Seraphina didn't understand, since Seraphina was just a deputy head of the HR department. Why everyone looked at her so strangely. What was even more absurd was seeing a bald man wearing the title of HR director, who actively stopped to greet Seraphina. He even greeted her as well. Seraphina responded, feeling a bit overwhelmed, thinking to herself that this director Harvey had such a good temperament, since most leaders were always so arrogant. Just then, Seraphina stopped at the end of the hallway. She pointed to the room in front of them. This will be your exclusive lounge from now on. Seraphina looked up. Her name was clearly written on the door plate. As Seraphina entered the code, she introduced, the initial password is 666666. You can change it yourself later. Come take a look. The door opened, and they walked into the room. Zhao Chuchu instantly gasped. This lounge is too big. The decor is too luxurious. Even Seraphina was shocked. She had never seen such a luxurious lounge. Zhao Chuchu felt so happy she could almost faint. Thinking of her cramped room back at Tianmei, the comparison was painful. If there hadn't been outsiders present, she really wanted to roll around on the sofa. Seeing their surprised expressions, Seraphina smiled too. Not everyone gets this kind of treatment. With top-tier resources, the lounge naturally has to be top-tier too. Hearing this, Lucas didn't seem so hateful anymore. Zhao Chuchu was still immersed in her happiness even after they came out. Just then, the door nearby suddenly opened. An elegant woman walked out in high heels. A small assistant followed behind her. A flash of surprise crossed the woman's face when she saw them. Then, she greeted Seraphina. Sisterly, you're personally showing them the rooms? Yes, there's a meeting this afternoon. She only spared a glance at Seraphina, before walking away elegantly in her high heels. Let's go too. The upper floors are all meeting rooms. Seraphina felt that her enthusiasm was a bit excessive. She had a very good impression of this company today. It was just that everything felt a bit strange. While in the elevator, Seraphina suddenly asked softly, Directorly, are you and Lucas close? The smile on Seraphina's face froze. Is that really how it is? An indescribable feeling rose in her heart. Fortunately, I was the one who received him when he arrived. I have been the one following up on the cooperation. Seraphina quickly returned to normal. Seraphina simply gave a soft response and stopped talking as the group went downstairs. Seraphina led the way in her gray Mercedes. Seraphina drove slowly behind them. As soon as Zhao Chuchu got in the car, she began praising everything about the place heartlessly, until Sister Yun gave her a look. Then she quieted down. Seraphina, what's wrong? Zhao Chuchu asked curiously, leaning against the front seat. I'm fine, Chuchu. How is this fine? Zhao Chuchu was confused. But Sister Yun only smiled at Seraphina. She could tell at a glance that someone was jealous. At this moment, back at home, you were overwhelmed. Your wife had only been gone for half a day, and your daughter, Lily, was already crying for her mother. No matter what you said, she only ended up crying harder. She even shouted that Daddy was a bad guy, and that he had hidden Mommy. You tried singing to distract her, but Lily's tears continued to fall. She kicked her feet against the seat, refusing to stop until she saw her mother. You scratched your head. What should you do? You couldn't exactly call Seraphina back right now. She would never let you hear the end of it. Suddenly, the phone on the table rang. You glanced at it, and your eyes instantly lit up. A savior had arrived. It was a WeChat message from Seraphina. Unexpectedly, she replied, I had lunch with Minister Lee today. What on earth? You didn't have time to think. Seraphina's cold, beautiful face appeared on the screen. You immediately flashed a flattering smile and pointed the phone toward Lily. Mommy, only for Seraphina's face to instantly turn cold. Lucas, is this how you said you would take care of Lily? You pretended not to hear, watching as Lily saw her mother, wiping her tears aggrievedly. Mommy, did Daddy hide you? Don't you want Lily anymore? Seraphina immediately softened her voice to comfort Lily. Mommy just went out to work, and she'll be home soon. The little one actually began to stop crying. You felt as if you had been hit by 10,000 tons of emotional weight. You made funny faces and even sang songs. But none of it was as effective as a single word from her. Once she finished soothing her daughter, Seraphina suddenly confronted you with a sharp question. Can you really take good care of the child? You instantly grew anxious. Who does she think she's looking down on? Today was just an accident. If I were the one going out, you wouldn't be able to soothe Lily either. However, Seraphina just gave you a deep look. Her eyes narrowed slightly as she suddenly asked, pretending not to care. You and Minister Lee are quite close, aren't you? You replied casually, completely unaware that you were already teetering on the edge of death. Just okay. Seraphina repeated the words gloomily. You felt a sudden chill run down your spine. But the next second, she rolled her eyes at you and hung up the video call. Only then did you realize. She was angry. You were caught in the crossfire. For the next 2 days, Seraphina called home every day, but she only ever spoke to her daughter, giving you nothing but cold looks. However, you had no idea that Seraphina's career was currently in a desperate situation. The company hadn't given her any schedules. Her manager, Yun, had contacted an out-of-fashion singer who left the industry 2 years ago, who would write songs for him. They have already been abandoned by the entire industry. On the other side, Seraphina is still worrying about composing. She has been trying for the past 2 days, but she still can't find inspiration, and she can't help but think of Arthur. If you were here, you could definitely write a better song. I feel like I am inferior to you in every way. Just then, her assistant Chloe suddenly sat up. Seraphina hesitated. She didn't want to rely on Arthur anymore, so she thought for a long time before finally speaking. I'll call him again, but what she didn't know was, at this moment, in the Starry Entertainment meeting room, a meeting that would decide her fate was underway. Chairman Lee Tian had an invitation document in front of him. Star Melody Assembly. A refined man wearing gold-rimmed glasses. Operations Manager Sterling spoke first. I think Clara is fine. Most people nodded in agreement. Is there another one? Just as he finished speaking, HR Manager Harvey stood up abruptly. Chairman, I think Seraphina is also fine. Seraphina? Lee Tian then remembered. Is she someone you recommended, Arthur? But before she could speak, that film critic jumped in to object. Any amateur is better than her. However, Harvey argued his point. We should be more inclined to choose her. Sterling frowned. What a singer needs most is popularity. Unexpectedly, Harvey suddenly gave a smug smile and dropped a bombshell. You're talking to me about popularity? Then do you even know who recommended Seraphina? Hearing this name, Sterling was instantly silenced. If he dared to say Lucas has no popularity, her MV has hundreds of millions of likes. A top star with 50 million fans. Sterling looked at Harvey with a dark expression. Are you sure Lucas will write songs for Seraphina? Just then, let's just let Clara and Seraphina know. As the meeting ended, Harvey walked away happily, having surpassed his rival company for the first time. Meanwhile, the entire entertainment industry was in an uproar because of the launch of Star Melody Assembly by Starry Entertainment. At the same time, Lydia from Skyline Entertainment also received the news. Her manager, Queen, rushed in shouting excitedly, Lydia, good news. We even hired a famous songwriter to write for you. Lydia froze instantly, smudging her nail polish. She turned around, eyes full of disbelief. Is it the Star Melody Assembly that can bring me to the top tier? After receiving a definite answer, she jumped straight out of her chair. She became even more carried away when she heard the name of the person writing the song. Queen watched her arrogant behavior, while Lydia was lost in her triumph. Your wife, Seraphina, also received a call from the company. The content was exactly the same. A 10-star Melody Assembly in 3 days. After hanging up, she was completely stunned. Her assistant, Chloe, was even more excited to the point of madness. Shaking her shoulders, she asked, Seraphina, is it true? Star Melody Assembly? A massive problem stood before them. They didn't have a music manager. Celine's face was filled with gravity. Using Star Melody Assembly as a stage was a good thing, but they needed a great song. They immediately divided the tasks. Celine frantically contacted songwriters she knew from the past. Meanwhile, Seraphina could only bury herself in writing, hoping to create a miracle. At this time, you knew nothing of this. You were still at home teaching your daughter, Lily, how to sing nursery rhymes. Wearing a big bad wolf headpiece, you made her giggle. After putting Lily to sleep at 7 in the evening, you could finally calm down. What kind of song should you prepare for Seraphina? But there were too many hit songs in your head. Feeling frustrated, you scrolled through videos, and they were all your songs. Fans had even turned Lily's expressions into memes. Wife, oh wife, how are things on your end? When will you ever reach out to me first? You scrolled through the videos. The most popular thing online was Star Melody Assembly. It was said this competition happens once a year. Whoever participates becomes famous. It was even a bit annoying. After a few swipes, the algorithm showed too much, so you turned off the phone and went to sleep. However, early the next morning, it was actually Seraphina's assistant, Chloe. Her voice on the other end was kept extremely low. You need to take control of this. Instantly wide awake, wondering what happened, Seraphina is participating in Star Melody Assembly. You immediately felt a headache as you remembered. The contract clearly stated that you would write songs for her. You pondered this for a long while. You immediately called Seraphina, and she picked up. Her voice sounded exhausted. She intentionally said, "Lily doesn't miss you, so you don't have to call me. I am your husband, after all." This was the first time you called yourself her husband in front of her. There was a deathly silence on the other end. You sighed to break the silence. "Why didn't you tell me you were participating in Star Melody Assembly? If it's something that can be easily resolved in a day, why make yourself so tired?" But as soon as you spoke, suppressed sobbing suddenly came from the other end. She was crying. You were completely stunned. What did I say? Emotions are just too difficult to handle. While you were at a loss, a sudden, tearful roar erupted from the other end. Lucas's voice was full of grievance. It made your heart ache. You froze. It was the first time you heard her call you by your full name. "Do you think I am completely useless?" You instantly realized. You had been negligent. You hurriedly apologized to interrupt her. "I'm sorry, I wasn't blaming you. I was just worried about your health." To your surprise, Seraphina actually laughed as soon as you spoke. That laugh was aggrieved, yet carried a hint of stubbornness. Then, your voice became incredibly firm. "Seraphina, you and Lily are the best gifts heaven has given me. You are my wife." These words were like a bombshell. Her heart exploded, and Seraphina's entire face instantly turned red. She gave a soft murmur of agreement. Chloe, who was peeking from the side, was wide-eyed with shock. You decided to strike while the iron was hot. Listening to your incredibly confident words, Seraphina burst into laughter. "Then I'll just have to see what kind of song you, Mr. Liu, can actually write." She completely gave up. Sleepiness immediately hit her, and she hung up the call. Coaxing a wife is even harder than coaxing a child. Then, you took out paper and a pen, but faced another dilemma. There were too many masterpiece songs in your head. Which one should you choose? Just as you irritably opened the window, a young couple downstairs was saying goodbye. The boy was pulling a suitcase, and the girl's eyes were misty with tears. Love rises with the wind. A spark of inspiration flashed in your mind. You instantly had the answer and walked quickly to the desk, picked up a pen and wrote 3 words. "The wind is rising." Notes flowed from the tip of your pen. You were completely immersed until Lily called out to you, pulling you back to reality. You instantly flashed a smile. A daughter's word is law. You didn't dare delay for a second and turned to head into the kitchen. 2 hours later, you collapsed directly onto the sofa. Just then, a video call from Seraphina came in. She immediately made a pitiful expression. Her eyes were watery as she accused you, as if saying, "I'm working hard out there." You couldn't withstand the pressure and immediately surrendered. Lily also raised her small hands, just like you, saying in a milky voice. Seraphina immediately lost her composure, admitting she was no match for this little devil. The little one immediately offered a wooden horse. Seeing your chance, you shamelessly leaned in, laughing, "Aren't you going to reward me?" The little one continued to tease from the side, making Seraphina's face turn bright red. Finally, unable to withstand your enthusiasm, she gave you a symbolic kiss. You were overjoyed and rushed into the bedroom to grab the music manuscript. See, Seraphina gave you a charming, playful glance, but her heart was racing with shock. A song was finished in just a few hours. After the 3 of you chatted for a while longer, you sent her the full music score, putting down your phone to prepare to take the baby out. Seraphina called you via video again. Once you answered, she stared at you intently with burning eyes. "What's wrong?" She mimicked your tone and asked back, "Can't I call you if nothing is wrong?" Good grief, not only is she beautiful, she's also vengeful, you joked. Unexpectedly, she suddenly spoke. "What exactly are you hiding from me?" You scratched your head with an innocent face. Seraphina's pretty face flushed red. "You can only try to bluff your way through this." Seraphina gave you a deep look. She stopped questioning and stared at the lyrics for a long time. Her eyes were incredibly determined. "I won't let this song go to waste." After the video call ended, Seraphina knocked on Chloe's door. Chloe looked surprised. "Seraphina, we have a song." Good grief. It turns out she was the one who leaked her own predicament. Soon after, Celine was called back by a phone call. Hearing there was a song, she was incredibly excited. Now she finally didn't have to depend on others' moods. The 3 of them rushed to Starry Entertainment, heading straight for the 11th floor recording studio. Seraphina decided to plant herself here for good. Time flew by, and Chloe sorted out the background music and copyrights. Only then did Seraphina emerge from the recording studio. But just as they were preparing to go eat, a girl walked out of the door opposite them. She froze for a moment when she saw Seraphina. Then she gave a friendly nod. Seraphina smiled back. However, the man behind her was acting incredibly arrogant, wearing gold-rimmed glasses. Seraphina didn't recognize him and turned to leave. But the man let out a cold snort. No situational awareness. Doesn't even know how to greet a leader. The girl named Clara quickly explained. Uncle Sterling. It turns out this man was actually the company executive, Sterling. Clara wanted to join Seraphina as a singer in the Star Melody Assembly. What was even more unexpected was that she obtained Lucas's song. In the following days, Seraphina practiced desperately, leaving early and returning late every day. Celine released her comeback announcement online. However, most of her few thousand followers were still inactive accounts. Once the announcement was released, marketing accounts with keen senses noticed it. As soon as they saw the word Star Melody Assembly, the traffic began to flow, and news of Seraphina's comebacks spread across the internet. But most people don't care about this washed-up starlet at all. Until August 7th, when the Star Melody Assembly officially began at the Shanghai Stadium. However, Rin Xiao, the director of this year's Star Melody Assembly, was very worried, because one of Lucas's songs had been dominating the trending searches. Therefore, the traffic for our Star Melody Assembly couldn't compare to before at all. But the annual Star Melody Assembly could not be postponed because of one person. He could only bite the bullet and start this year's Star Melody Assembly. Unfortunately, Lucas could not be reached. If he could get him to serve as a mentor for the Star Melody Assembly, wouldn't the traffic explode? The big shot he couldn't even invite was currently sitting in the audience like a thief, quietly holding his baby. That's right, you hid it from your wife, Seraphina, and secretly brought your daughter, Lily, to Shanghai, just to cheer for her in person. The little cutie in your arms was incredibly excited, because she was about to see her mother. You looked at the light sticks waving throughout the venue. Not a single one was raised for your wife. You quietly opened the live stream, and the comments were overwhelming. Yet, not a single person was supporting Seraphina to win. There were 4 in the trending topics, including one. Who was that same Lydia, the one who dared to lay hands on your daughter? Meanwhile, undercurrents were surging backstage. Lydia glared at Seraphina with a face as pale as ash. Her best friend, Chloe, simply rolled her eyes at her, making Lydia lose all face. Looking at the radiant Seraphina today, Lydia recalled the fear of being suppressed by her for many years. It felt as if a queen had returned, making her lose her courage before the battle even began. Just then, a single word from her manager snapped her out of it. It's just Seraphina. She has nothing left to her name now. Lydia instantly regained her composure. That's right. What could the current Seraphina possibly use to compete with her? Besides, she still had the songs from the godfather of music. Thinking of this, she gave Seraphina a disdainful glance. Then, the stage lights outside suddenly brightened. The host took the stage, and the 4 veteran music mentors took their seats. The competition officially began, and the rules were simple and brutal. With 16 contestants, audience members would randomly call for stops and pairings, so no one could manipulate the results. As the large screen scrolled rapidly, the list of 8 matchups was instantly generated. You looked at the matchup list and smiled. The next second, the host's voice echoed throughout the venue. Please welcome the contestants for the first match. Seraphina versus Lydia. As the words fell, the spotlights descended on your wife, Seraphina, and her arch-rival, Lydia. Walking slowly onto the stage, the fateful duel was about to begin. But you saw Seraphina's hands trembling slightly. As expected, Seraphina was feeling anxious. Lydia, on the other hand, looked grim. She hadn't expected the first match to happen like this. To be pitted against Seraphina. The audience below erupted instantly. Everyone was discussing who this stunning stranger was. You saw Seraphina's nervousness at a glance. So, you suddenly lifted your daughter, Lily, high up. At this moment, Lily became a human cheering sign. Her little face curved into a crescent moon as she shouted with all her might, "Go, mommy!" On stage, Seraphina suddenly saw that familiar figure. She instantly covered her mouth. It was him and their daughter. Her nervousness vanished instantly. Her eyes erupted with unprecedented brilliance. She also curved her eyes into the same crescent moon smile as her daughter. That tenderness instantly melted the hearts of the entire audience. Then, the host announced Seraphina would perform first. The stage lights dimmed, leaving only a single spotlight on her. As the intro began, the venue fell silent. Just then, the song title appeared on the big screen. The big screen showed the song title, The Wind Blows, and the songwriter column clearly listed 2 words, Lucas. The entire audience gasped. To think they could even get that mysterious Lucas to write a song. Backstage, Lydia was left speechless. In the next second, Seraphina's ethereal voice rang out. I was once lost in the vastness of the world. Drunk on love, drowning in a dreamlike trance. Not knowing truth from falsehood. Without struggle, unafraid of ridicule. The venue was so silent you could hear a pin drop. Everyone was immersed in it. It was as if they could see their lost youth. Seraphina was also completely lost in the song, her gaze piercing through the crowd. Looking below the stage, where her 2 most important people were. I finally returned youth to her. along with the midsummer plucked from her fingertips. Whatever moves the heart, let it go with the wind. In the name of love, are you still willing? A divine song. Everyone, whether in person or in the live stream room, was blown away. My heart was completely infected, and countless faces, both familiar and strange, flashed through my mind, finally settling on the most unforgettable person from that youth. So this is what it means to the wind blows. It is the wind of youth buried deep in their hearts. Just then, a thud came from behind the stage. Lydia slumped onto the floor. Her face was as pale as ash, her lips trembling. She no longer had the courage to go on stage and perform. With her perfect vocal skills, Seraphina completely shattered her pride. Her manager, Queen, gave a bitter smile. Lack of skill is ultimately a lack of skill. Even the mentors at the judges' table showed expressions of envy. As the music faded, Seraphina looked at the audience, feeling a bit lost. You slowly opened your eyes and saw her nervous state. You smiled. Just then, Lily reached out her small hands to clap hard for her mother. In the next second, the applause rose like a tidal wave. Thunderous applause echoed throughout the venue. The audience, with tears in their eyes, gave Seraphina their most enthusiastic support. Unmoved. At the same time, the comments in the Star Melody Assembly livestream exploded. As expected of Lucas's work, this isn't just the wind blows. This is clearly a tornado. No one remembered how they used to look down on Seraphina. They thought she was just here to fill a spot, but she started with a knockout blow. Then, Seraphina bowed deeply. She took one last lingering look at you and her daughter before retreating backstage. However, the competition continued, and the next performer was Lydia. She had stood up at some point without anyone noticing. Watching Seraphina pass her by, she felt nothing but deep helplessness. She didn't even know how she had walked onto the stage. It wasn't until the music started that she suddenly snapped out of it. Unfortunately, she was half a beat too late, and boos immediately erupted from the audience. This made her even more panicked, causing her singing melody to go completely off-key. When the song ended, the sparse applause made her want to hide her face and run away. However, the backstage director, Rin Chao, didn't care at all. As long as the ratings exploded, that was enough. The final voting results were no surprise. A crushing victory of 5 o'clock. Just then, there was an appointment to meet you at the backstage exit. Seeing this, you immediately left the venue early, holding Lily. Meanwhile, as soon as Seraphina appeared backstage, she was greeted with a big hug from Chloe. Stop crying. It will only get better from here. Seraphina held her, her eyes full of determination. Let's go. Right now, she only wanted to see you immediately. Outside the exit, it was already late. As soon as Seraphina came out, she saw you from afar, holding Lily, standing straight under the streetlight. At that moment, a feeling called happiness surged into her heart. Simple, yet extremely warm. Mommy, Lily wriggled out of your arms and ran towards Seraphina. Seraphina immediately knelt down, pulling her daughter tightly into her embrace. You walked up and looked at her with a smile. How do you like this surprise? Seraphina's cheeks flushed, but she looked directly at you. Her eyes curved into crescents. It's a wonderful surprise. However, neither of you knew that this heartwarming scene had fallen into Lydia's eyes. She was holding her phone, watching your departing backs. Her eyes filled with a venomous light. A great idea to ruin Seraphina's reputation instantly formed in her mind. If she couldn't have Seraphina, then no one could. Meanwhile, the internet was already in an uproar. Everyone was curious about how Lucas found a hidden gem like Seraphina. But when they clicked on Seraphina's Weibo, they only saw a comeback statement. They realized she was a famous rising star 2 years ago who had left the industry after her relationship was exposed. She had left the industry due to a revealed romance. As soon as this went trending, unscrupulous media sensed blood in the water. They began to hype it up wildly, causing a polarization online. Some said she shouldn't make a comeback, while others felt that as long as the music was good, her private life was none of their business. Both sides argued heatedly. The arguments raged on until a single, decisive comment appeared. Just ask if the song is good or not. Instantly, all the skeptics were silenced. All they could do was mutter that someone else could sing it. It sounded just as good, right at that moment. Then, Starry Entertainment finally stepped in. Their announcement directly exploded across the internet. Not only did they congratulate Seraphina on advancing, but they also dropped a bombshell. In the next round, Seraphina would still be performing Lucas's song. After her appearance on Star Melody Assembly, she would even release a full album composed by Lucas. Lucas is handling the whole album. Not just one song, but the entire album. The whole internet was in shock. The topic of Seraphina and Lucas regarding the whole album, an entire album, it instantly surged to the top of the trending searches. An entire album. Even more malicious posts were quietly rising. She suddenly appeared at number 103 on the trending searches the next morning. The headlines were shocking. Seraphina's affair with the mysterious singer, Lucas. The posts claimed with absolute certainty that in order to make her come back, she used her charms to seduce Lucas, and countless marketing accounts were reposting it frantically. Lucas isn't any better either. Countless marketing accounts were reposting it, and the comment section was overwhelmingly one-sided. That she relies on her body, and Lucas isn't any better. They are in cahoots. Although some fans still believe in Lucas's character, their voices were quickly drowned out. In just 1 hour, this post and Seraphina's Weibo were pushed to the first and second spots on the trending searches. Meanwhile, you had just finished your morning run, completely unaware of this. On the other side, Seraphina had dark circles under her eyes, walking out of her room listlessly. She had suffered from insomnia last night, her mind filled with the scene of you holding her hand in the hotel. When Celine and Chloe saw her, they thought she had stayed up all night because of the trending searches. Chloe rushed to her with eyes full of anxiety. Seraphina, what did Lucas say? Doesn't he plan to come out and clarify this? It would be best if Lucas clarified this personally. If Seraphina released a statement, it would only backfire. But Seraphina's mind was in total chaos. She looked at Chloe blankly, leaving Chloe speechless. Only then did Chloe realize Seraphina was completely unaware. She stomped her feet in frustration. Seraphina, you're still thinking about him? He's fine, but you're in trouble. Quick, check your Weibo. Seraphina finally realized something was wrong. She took out her phone and opened Weibo. A flood of private messages and comments instantly met her eyes. Boycotting Chu Wanting after she opened those malicious private messages, feeling sick to death. When she opened those malicious private messages, her hands shook uncontrollably. Does he even figure? Chu Wanting, get out. Get out of the entertainment circle. Get out. Chu Wanting, get out. She scrolled down. Out of every 10 comments, 9 were insulting her. She exited the private messages and the countless posts from marketing accounts. A moment later, Seraphina put down her phone. She continued eating breakfast. Her expression was terrifyingly calm, as if nothing had happened. But seeing her like this made Chloe even more worried. Seraphina. Seraphina patted her hand. To comfort her. Chloe, the innocent will remain innocent, but public opinion never cares if you live or die. Seraphina's eyelashes trembled slightly. Her heart was actually surging with emotion. But she knew that since you released songs anonymously, you didn't want to reveal your identity, so she couldn't expose you. At this moment, the entire internet was waiting for an explanation. In the end, after a long wait, Seraphina's Weibo finally updated. Everyone clicked on it impatiently. Then everyone froze. There was no long-winded public statement. There were only 4 simple words. The innocent need no explanation. This caused the online comments to instantly become even more aggressive. Meanwhile, Lydia was laughing incredibly happily. Although she had been scolded by the company, seeing that she had successfully dragged Seraphina down with her made her extremely delighted. The online comments were all from the water armies and marketing accounts she had paid for. But as long as she could take down Seraphina, she felt it was worth it. Beside her, Queen's expression was grim. She felt that Lydia had gone mad. Lydia, you are framing her. If Lucas decides to pursue this, you are completely finished. Lydia dismissed this with contempt. How am I framing him? Why would Lucas write songs for Seraphina? Look, there isn't even an explanation. Looking at the crazed Lydia, Queen was already planning to abandon her. Meanwhile, you were leisurely taking a shower in the hotel. Outside, your phone was ringing incessantly like a death knell. You could only hurriedly finish and walk out wrapped in a towel. You were somewhat surprised by the caller ID. Minister Lee, why do you have time to call a person like me today? Licea's annoyed voice came from the other end of the line. You still have the nerve to call yourself a person with nothing to do? What is it about? Licea said through gritted teeth. Her tone was even worse. Isn't it about your significant other? Seraphina is being attacked like that. And you can still sit there calmly. Seraphina is being attacked? You immediately became serious. What happened to Seraphina? On the other end of the phone, Seraphina felt a pang of jealousy. This man had become incredibly serious. She let out a cold snort. You frowned, not understanding what was wrong with this woman. But there was no time to think about that. You quickly opened Weibo. The first thing you saw were the top trending posts. The moment you saw the titles. After reading all the posts and reading the comments under Seraphina's Weibo, your face turned as dark as coal. You were so angry you almost laughed. Do they really think my woman is easy to bully? And that foolish woman, how could she not tell me about something this big? Facing it all alone. You only wanted to confront that idiot in person, to ask if she even considers me her husband. But before that, since someone wants to play, let's play for real. Lydia never imagined that the backlash would come so fast and so hard. She hadn't even been happy for long before she fell into panic. She never imagined that the mysterious Lucas. So it was actually the gigolo in her eyes. At 10 a.m., The whole internet was still discussing Seraphina's scandal. Suddenly, Lucas's short video went viral. As another protagonist of the incident, Lucas had unexpectedly shown his face to prove himself. The mysterious big shot Lucas, who has tens of millions of followers, had unexpectedly shown as soon as he posted the video. He didn't even need the platform to promote it. Fans pushed the video to the trending list themselves. No one expected that Lucas would show his face to prove himself. No one expected that he would step forward without hesitation at this critical moment. But when everyone clicked on the video, they were stunned. This wasn't a video to prove anything. It was clearly a display of affection and a manifesto of condemnation. You looked serious in the video. Hello everyone. I've seen some very bad comments online. Many people are questioning why I wrote songs for Seraphina. Some are even spreading rumors about her having an affair. Your voice suddenly rose toward the camera. I only want to ask one thing loudly here. I'm damn well writing songs for my wife. My wife doesn't want to deal with you, so I won't tolerate you either. There is no such thing as the innocent will remain innocent. You gave a cold laugh with a sharp gaze. I originally wanted to live among you as an ordinary person, but all I got in return was alienation. I'm laying my cards on the table. I am Lucas. Seraphina and I left the industry together because of our relationship. We got married later and are still together. As for why I go by Boo Fan, now you know. Are you happy now? I also want to tell the person who made those posts and those marketing accounts. I have already collected evidence, and none of you will escape. And to all those paid trolls, every single one of you, just wait for the lawyer's letter. Once the video was released, the entire internet was instantly and incomparably shocked. After all that arguing, it turns out they are actually a married couple. No one expected that the mysterious Boo Fan was actually Lucas. This video is spreading like crazy at this moment. Your fans were even more crazed, forwarding the video to Weibo. Ha 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 ha. I'm standing right here to see who dares to spread rumors now. They were always a match made in heaven. They were always a divine couple. Where are the haters from this morning? Open your eyes and look. Legal notice. Starry Entertainment's Weibo immediately followed up with a notice from the legal department. Entertainment X platform immediately followed up with a notice from the legal department regarding Entertainment X platform, directly on behalf of Mr. Liu, regarding the false rumors and slander online. Will continue to follow up with the original poster and marketing accounts. Has already notified the original poster and marketing accounts. All accounts related to the legal letters will be banned. As soon as this announcement was released, Weibo exploded. Netizens suddenly discovered that the trending topics had all been cleared of previous posts. The posters even deleted their accounts. This user has been deleted. Not long after, Weibo officials stepped in. After verification, 1,500 accounts spreading false information have been banned. The internet is not a lawless place. Following the official Weibo announcement, the video you posted was pushed directly to the top of the trending searches. And Seraphina's Weibo also instantly took the top spot. In a short amount of time, wife lover and the innocent are innocent became 2 consecutive trending keywords. This is insane. This man is too incredible. Countless onlookers were frantically reposting your quotes. Countless onlookers were frantically reposting your quotes. I won't indulge you. I won't indulge you. My wife doesn't want to deal with you. This man is too incredible. But at this moment, in the Shanghai apartment, Seraphina was completely unaware of all this. She was leisurely watching cartoons while holding her daughter, Lily. Just then, Chloe rushed in like a whirlwind. Her face was beaming with an excited smile. She thrust her phone directly in front of Seraphina's face. Seraphina, look. Seraphina looked up in confusion. Chloe stomped her feet in frustration. Sister Shun, what are you going to do in the future? You really should learn from Lucas. Just look at him. Seraphina took the phone. She clicked the video, and that familiar, domineering voice instantly came through the earpiece. Her mouth parted slightly, her face full of surprise. Chloe was still chirping away beside her. Do you know what netizens are calling him now? Hearing those 4 words, Seraphina's cheeks flushed. A wave of sweetness rose in her heart. Thinking of this, she left her daughter behind and walked quickly back to her room. Only Chloe and Lily were left in the living room, staring at each other. However, back in her room, Seraphina hesitated at the dialing screen. What should she say? If she mentioned his words, it would be too embarrassing. Wouldn't that be admitting she was shy? Or should she say he's too scary? Then would he think she's petty? She threw herself onto the bed in frustration, burying her face in the quilt. Kicking her legs like a little girl, she finally mustered the courage. She called him directly via voice call. His pleasant voice came through. Hello? Seraphina's small face was buried in the quilt. What are you doing right now? Seraphina let out a gasp. She suddenly lifted her flushed face. It wasn't until she saw the phone screen that she realized she had accidentally pressed video call. The words social death were written all over her face. Seraphina's mouth hung slightly open. She looked blankly at you on the other side of the video call, and you rubbed your nose, thinking that a version of her like this. The next second, Seraphina let out a soft whimper, burying her face in the quilt like an ostrich, never wanting to come up again. A muffled voice came from under the quilt. You're not allowed to laugh. You finally stopped laughing. I was just about to head to the apartment. Are you coming to pick me up? Then wait for me there. Only then did Seraphina look up, her watery almond eyes staring at the screen. Her face was still flushed. She didn't ask why you sent that video. Some things seemed unnecessary to ask, but you took the initiative to speak. Seraphina, you've been so badly criticized. Why didn't you tell me? Seraphina fell silent. She was actually a bit lost, but the next second, she found her answer. She loves the new you and loves how you carefully take care of her and her daughter. It's just that past experiences make her afraid to open her heart easily. However, all you received was a long silence. Then, your disappointed voice spoke again. It's okay if you don't say anything. The video call was abruptly disconnected. Only then did Seraphina snap out of it, remembering your tone just now. Had she disappointed you? She bolted up from the bed, wanting to see you as soon as possible, rushing toward the door. You were in the car, but your emotions were steady. You simply stared quietly out the window. However, Seraphina didn't start the car. Instead, she stared intently at your profile. She took a few deep breaths before finally speaking. Lucas. Only then did you turn your head, looking at her reddened eyes. You smiled bitterly to yourself. When did you ever have anything? So how could you lose it? Thus, you spoke softly. There's no need to apologize. Actually, I'm not the Lucas you think I am. You don't need to feel guilty. Unexpectedly, Seraphina stared intently at you. Then, are you Lucas? You remembered her asking you the same question at the amusement park. You scratched your head and could only answer, I am Lucas. Then you are the Lucas I'm thinking of. Her firm answer left you completely stunned. You struggled to clench your trembling fists, finally voicing the fear in your heart. I'm afraid that one day, you won't need you anymore, Lucas. Seraphina suddenly interrupted you. Her eyes were full of heartache as she gripped your trembling hand tightly, leaning gently against you and declaring word by word. No matter what happens, we will never leave you. Most importantly, you are by our side. Her soft body entered your embrace with tender words. You instantly received the answer you wanted. Holding her, you suddenly smiled. From then on, nothing could shake your resolve. A moment later, Seraphina shyly pulled away from your embrace. You only wore a silly grin as she gave you a charming glance and burst into laughter. The car slowly drove away. The two of them had undergone a complete change of heart. Meanwhile, that pretty boy, Lydia, went mad, sweeping all the cosmetics off the table. She didn't stop even with the piercing sound of shattering. She stepped forward and stomped on them even harder. There was also a lawyer's letter sent by Starry Entertainment. She was exposed, and the person who made the post, seeing things going wrong, immediately snitched on her as the mastermind. Now, the company has ordered her to take a break. Even when it comes to finding a man, she's no match for others. As expected, Lucas is truly Lucas. He hid his true self too deeply. 2 years ago, that pretty boy whom everyone looked down on has now revealed his fangs. Seraphina really has great taste. I won't accept this. Queen, give me your phone. Lydia panted heavily, her eyes bloodshot. Queen only gave her a cold glance and spoke irritably. Even when it comes to finding men, they do it better. What is there to refuse? Queen's words stabbed into Lydia's heart like knives. Lydia suddenly jerked her head around. Queen showed no fear at all. Once you are locked up, your contract will naturally end. The company abandoned you long ago. What? Lydia gritted her teeth. The company needs a money tree. Once you get out, just find an honest man and marry him. Stop making trouble. Heh, then should I thank you for your kindness? Lydia laughed. Then, she suddenly revealed a creepy smile. Queen, let me use your phone for a moment. Queen frowned. What else are you planning to do? To take us both down with me. Lydia's smile became terrifying. Why does Seraphina always get the upper hand over me? How does an orphan like her know that Buffan is actually Lucas? If I can't touch Seraphina, I'll make sure Lucas's reputation is ruined. No one will be spared. Queen looked at the frantic Lydia. She knew Lydia had gone mad. She desperately wanted to say that Seraphina had never competed with her, that her character was 10,000 times better than hers. But she couldn't say anything, as any provocation would make Lydia lose control completely. So, Queen handed over her phone. I know you're scared. Haha. Under Queen's watchful gaze, she dialed a number. Commander Chun, this is Lydia. Meanwhile, the atmosphere in the apartment dining room felt somewhat strange. Lily was eating with great delight. Celine had a doting smile on her face the whole time, while Chloe kept her head down, eating. She would occasionally steal glances at you and Seraphina. Seraphina's beautiful face was flushed all the way to her neck. She looked like she wanted to bury her head in her bowl, while you were smiling foolishly, peeling crayfish by hand. You held them to her mouth with chopsticks. Seraphina felt like she was about to boil alive. This man hasn't been normal since he got out of the car. But you felt it was only natural. She had already admitted you were her husband. So what was wrong with feeding her? Can you please not do this? The coquettish look in her eyes left you stunned. Realizing how it felt to be gazed at by a girl like that, you finally stopped feeding your wife. You turned your attention to feeding Lily instead. After dinner, you finally returned to normal. Sitting on the sofa, you began thinking about the song for the next competition. The transition from the top 16 to the top 8 would be easy to win. The top 8 is a different story. The remaining contestants' singing skills are just as good as Seraphina's. It will come down to original songs and improvisation. Producing a great song in just 3 days is difficult for anyone, and even you are starting to worry. Exactly which song should you choose to ensure a victory? Seraphina hasn't been idle either. She has been perfecting the song she's been thinking about. But that song is always missing a key melody. Seraphina frowns deeply. That melody is like a cat that can't be caught. She's so anxious that her hair has become a messy nest. She couldn't grasp that spark of inspiration even late into the night. However, early the next morning, Seraphina had just woken up. A major event involving you exploded on the trending searches again. At first, she didn't take it seriously, since there had been constant trending news about you lately. Her eyes instantly narrowed when she saw the title of the post. Her heart began to panic completely. At the same time, countless netizens also saw this trending topic. They were already used to seeing Lucas's name every day, so they clicked on it without a second thought. When they saw the content of the post, everyone froze in shock. Some even rubbed their eyes. Lucas is an abuser. This title was absolutely mind-blowing. The netizens were stunned at first, then burst into laughter. Are you kidding me? Yesterday, he was a wife-doting demon. And 10 minutes ago, today he became an abuser? They eagerly clicked on the video in the post, wanting to see if it was just nonsense. But as soon as the video appeared, two men looked very serious. It turns out to be Chen Shuai and Yi Tian, members of your former boy band. Then, Chen Shuai spoke. I know everyone doesn't believe it, but he is an abuser. I have a phone recording as proof. Back then, he begged me to help him make a comeback. I happened to record it, and I never expected it would become the evidence to expose his hypocrisy. I, Chen Shuai, am not afraid to face him publicly. As soon as these words were spoken, netizens fell silent. They were momentarily shaken, and then Yi Tian also held up his phone and shook it. Now, let everyone hear the original recording. After saying that, he pressed play. The netizens immediately listened intently. Only your voice could be heard coming from the phone. Brother Chun, do you think I can still go back to the company? Chen Shuai's indifferent voice rang out. You've already married a famous pop star. What else is there to worry about? A second later, your voice came again, with a hint of teasing. Women are like clothes. Career is more important. So, if you want to make a comeback, can Seraphina provide it? In the recording, you chuckled and said something that blew up the entire internet. To be honest, if she doesn't, I'll just give her a beating. You can't spoil a woman. The recording ended there, but the fury of the entire internet erupted. Disgusting. Is this even a man? Not only did female netizens turn into warriors to attack him, but even the men were filled with indignation. Then, in the video, Chen Shuai continued to add insult to injury with an angry face. You all heard it, right? This is the wife-doting demon you all talk about. I, Chen Shuai, will never stand with a domestic abuser like this. But the comments section had already fallen into chaos. I must have been blind to like someone like this. I must have been blind to like this kind of person. Lucas, come out and explain. This is too disgusting. Hearing this recording makes me want to vomit. My heart is instantly shattered. How dirty is Lucas behind the scenes? How dirty is Luke? I must have been blind. My heart is instantly shattered. My heart is instantly shattered. Lucas, come out and explain. My heart is instantly shattered. And at this moment, you are quietly staring at your phone. Hearing that recording, that familiar feeling of disgust surges again. You rush into the bathroom and begin to vomit. It feels as if, in an instant, you have returned to that oppressive Lucas. Those things are facts. They truly happened. You cannot refute that the pain Seraphina suffered will only increase. Your phone rings incessantly. You bury yourself tightly under the covers. What hurts you is not being insulted, but those memories surging back into your heart. The suffering Seraphina and Lily endured floats clearly before your eyes. You realize you have never actually forgiven yourself. Even though you are constantly trying to make amends, you cannot change the past. At the same time, Seraphina is anxiously calling you over and over again. After seeing the post, she is incredibly worried. No one understands the current you better than she does. She has watched your changes and watched you atone bit by bit. She understands everything. She no longer cares about the past. But she knows that you certainly cannot forgive yourself right now. Beside her, Celine and Chloe are filled with heartache. both angry and at a loss for what to do. The call still won't go through. Seraphina's heart is instantly filled with anguish. Lily, in her arms, looked up. Mom, are you calling Dad? Mom, why don't you go find Dad? Lily's words snapped Seraphina back to reality. She could no longer sit still and stood up in a panic. Stumbling, she rushed out. She had to find you. Soon, Seraphina arrived at your door, breathless. Biting her lip, she knocked softly. Knock after knock, determined to make you answer. Under the covers, you were finally disturbed by the persistent knocking. You opened the door with your heavy body. What met your eyes were Seraphina's bloodshot eyes. Seeing her again, you didn't even dare to look into her eyes. Standing there helpless, she must have seen that post. Was she remembering everything from the past again? You silently closed the door like a prisoner headed to the execution ground. But just then, Seraphina saw the look in your eyes. Infuriated, she suddenly pulled you onto the bed. She grabbed your arm and bit down hard. As the sharp pain hit, you instinctively tried to pull your hand away. Let her vent. Not until Seraphina let go, looking up to see your gentle gaze. Her tears finally broke through. Are you stupid? She screamed. Then, she pulled back your sleeve. A row of deep, bloody teeth marks lined your arm. It was a shocking sight. Enough. Sobbing, Seraphina threw herself into your arms. At this moment, you were completely stunned. Her warm, trembling body felt so surreal. You reached out to stroke her head, unable to believe it. Your mood instantly soared from hell to heaven. You grinned as Seraphina said, we're even now. Since traveling to this parallel world, you had always been so cautious. You always felt like you owed them, but now, someone finally told you. It's good that we're even. Tears fell uncontrollably. You weren't just saving them. You were saving yourself. The two of you sobbed, hugging each other like fools. After a long time, Seraphina remained buried in your arms, saying softly, don't ever do this again. Lily and I will worry about you. You nodded heavily. I knew you'd say that. Seraphina looked up. Her face flushed and her eyes watery as she looked at you. Suddenly, she seemed to remember something, and her eyes burst with uncontrollable excitement. I think I remember that melody. What melody? You couldn't help but reach out and rub her head. You're rubbing my head like a dog. It's the song I've been working on. I just suddenly got the inspiration. As soon as she spoke, you scratched your head with slight regret. You took the music manuscript from your backpack and handed it to her. I originally wanted to write a song tonight. Seraphina nodded with a blush. Sitting cross-legged on the bed, her pen flew across the paper, and in just a moment, a complete melody appeared on the page. She looked up joyfully, staring intently at you. I finally did it. Do you want to take a look? You shook your head gently. Seraphina's face turned even redder. She whispered, there are no lyrics yet. Finally, she nodded shyly. Only her soft humming began to ring out. However, the moment the melody hit your ears, you froze in place. You were filled with shock. You had heard this melody before. In your original world, you couldn't believe it. You continued listening intently until the humming ended. Wait a second, you suddenly interrupted her. You hurriedly grabbed a pen and paper and began writing rapidly. Seraphina looked confused, but when she leaned in to see what you were writing, her eyes suddenly erupted with brilliance. Large words were written clearly on the paper. The lyrics were actually courage. You had only heard her hum it a few times, yet you had written the lyrics. Seraphina leaned closer to look. These were exactly the lyrics she had dreamed of. They were even better than what she had imagined. Blushing, her gaze shifted from the lyrics to your serious profile. At that moment, as if possessed, she couldn't resist giving your cheek a quick kiss. Your hand suddenly jerked. The wet, soft sensation on your right cheek felt as clear as a brand. You looked down at the lyrics on the paper. My heart was already blooming with joy. This was the courage that Seraphina wanted. After Seraphina finished, she instantly panicked. She lowered her head. Fortunately, you didn't react much. You knew all too well how thin her skin was. So, suppressing your racing heart, you finally acted nonchalant and handed the lyrics to her. Let's see if you can sing it all to me this time. After the song ended, you nodded with a smile. It sounds great. The next competition is a sure win. It's because your lyrics are so good. If it weren't for my music, I wouldn't have imagined a song like this. Let the mutual praise begin. But as soon as you called her my dear wife, Seraphina completely lost her composure. She buried her face in her arms like an ostrich, feeling both shy and sweet. However, before you could finish admiring the view, the piercing ringtone of a phone suddenly broke the romantic atmosphere in the room. You picked up the phone, and the screen clearly showed a contact named Ministerly. You raised an eyebrow. It seemed Seraphina had also seen the post. As soon as the call connected, you spoke gently as usual. Is something the matter? Seraphina on the other end was clearly stunned. She asked cautiously, there are some negative comments online. Aren't you going to clarify things? You instinctively looked at Seraphina. She was pretending to focus seriously on the music manuscript. but her wandering eyes betrayed her. You gave her a playful wink. Her small face instantly turned bright red as she hurriedly looked away. Then, you calmly dropped a bombshell over the phone. There's no need to clarify. Silence fell instantly on the other end of the line. After a long pause, Seraphina's voice came through, sounding disbelieving. Why? In my impression, you interrupted her directly. Ministerly, how much do you really know about me? The things on the internet are real. If you do something wrong, you must face the consequences. Your gaze remained fixed on Seraphina from beginning to end. Incredibly gentle. As long as the people I care about understand me, that is enough. Silence fell again on the phone, and Seraphina's voice carried obvious disappointment. Fine, I understand. Just as you hung up, Seraphina's voice drifted in softly. You were too cold. You were filled with confusion. Then, Seraphina added another sentence. Her eyes dimmed slightly. That older woman should like you. What? Lucia likes me? You scratched your head. I only see her as a normal friend. But how do you know? Seraphina suddenly looked up and stared at you. Her tone incredibly firm. I trust my feelings. You scratched your head. It is impolite for me to develop feelings for others. Love should be serious and exclusive. Looking at your sincere gaze, a sense of urgency surged in her heart. Just because you don't like others doesn't mean others don't like you. That older woman is much more excellent than I am. Recalling the recent conversation, you suddenly understood something, a smile appearing in your eyes. Pushing her arm, you said, Are you jealous? Seraphina instantly panicked. Her face turned bright red. No. Although her voice was loud, your smile deepened as you quietly watched her performance. The more Seraphina tried to hide it, the more flustered she became. Both embarrassed and annoyed, she finally could not withstand your gaze. Giving up, she threw the music draft onto the bed. I am jealous. Who could blame me when such a beauty likes you? Your smile grew wider. The next second, you suddenly leaned in close to her. Your voice was full of temptation. Then, how about I give you a stamp? Then, won't you be jealous anymore? Your face was extremely close to hers. Her heart beat faster and faster, as if it were about to leap out of her throat. Then, under your gaze, overjoyed, you closed your eyes and slowly leaned in. Soon, Seraphina was set to participate in the Star Melody Assembly's Top 8 to Top 4 competition. At this moment, she was practicing at Starry Entertainment. You returned to the apartment. Celine was at home with her daughter, Lily. Celine's attitude toward you was complex. She was grateful for your recent changes and help. But she also remembered the harm you had caused Seraphina in the past. However, seeing the care you now show your wife and daughter, she felt relieved and informed you that Seraphina was at the company. Hearing this, you decided to take Lily to visit her, to give your wife a surprise. At this time, the online criticism against you remained. And netizens had even formed a group to denounce you, hoping Seraphina would take this opportunity and leave you. They supported you. They hoped Seraphina would take this opportunity to divorce and leave. However, Seraphina's Weibo suddenly updated with a pinned post. How lucky I am to have met a good person in this life. How lucky I am. These words instantly caused an uproar among netizens. They speculated whether Seraphina was being controlled, wondering if she wouldn't divorce. You brought Lily to Starry Entertainment. You ran into Clara, who was also a contestant. Clara is a fan of Seraphina. She even asked you for an autograph. Then, you went to the recording studio, looking at Seraphina singing earnestly through the glass. Your eyes were filled with tenderness as the song ended. Seraphina was overjoyed to see you and your daughter. She called you husband with a shy and sweet smile. The second episode of Star Melody Assembly arrived as scheduled. With unprecedented popularity, you arrived at the venue low-key, with Lily wearing a mask. Seraphina's opponent was Xiao Feibai from Shengshi Entertainment. Before the competition began, the audience loudly questioned Seraphina, whether the Weibo post was made by her herself. If she was being coerced, Seraphina's gaze remained firm. Looking at you below the stage, she announced loudly that some loves are predestined. Then the big screen displayed the song title, Courage. Lyrics by Lucas, composed by Seraphina. As the intro played, Seraphina sang with deep emotion. The lyrics struck people's hearts. This naked confession left the entire audience and netizens stunned. It turned out this wasn't a trial, but a display of affection. As the song ended, the public opinion shifted drastically. Everyone sent their blessings to this couple who found each other. Ultimately, Seraphina advanced to the top 4 with a high vote count. After the competition, Starry Entertainment took the opportunity to clarify that you did not commit domestic violence. The two are in a mutual relationship. That night, you walked through the streets holding Seraphina's hand. You wandered through the snack street and watched a movie like a couple in love. In the cinema, you couldn't help but steal a kiss from Seraphina, making her incredibly shy, although there were still some small misunderstandings and tensions between you. Your feelings were warming up rapidly. After a short reunion, you took Lily back to Jiangcheng. Seraphina stayed in Shanghai to prepare for the competition. Back in Jiangcheng, you were busy finding a kindergarten for Lily. Although you missed the registration period, relying on the popularity of Princess Lily, you successfully enrolled her in Jianghua Kindergarten. Meanwhile, a conspiracy was brewing in Shanghai. Sterling, a former executive of Starry Entertainment, sought revenge. He teamed up with Star Melody Assembly mentors Wang Bin and Ran Xiaoxiao, attempting to manipulate the next competition to ensure Seraphina would lose to Clara. He even brought in the so-called godfather of music, Wu Mian, to write a song for Clara. The third round of Star Melody Assembly, the top 4-2 competition. The host, Chen Shuer, intentionally stirred up trouble, asking Seraphina if her new song was still written by you. Seraphina responded calmly. During the competition, Seraphina performed Flower Sea. The beautiful intro instantly transported the audience into the atmosphere. Seraphina's singing was deeply emotional. It felt like a solo concert. The entire venue erupted in applause. In comparison, Clara's sweet song was also good, but it paled in comparison to Flower Sea. However, an accident occurred during the voting stage. Although Gao Yu voted for Seraphina, Shui Yu cast a friendship vote for Clara. But Wang Bin and Ran Xiaoxiao both voted for Clara, resulting in Clara having more votes. The crowd was in an uproar, with accusations of rigging rising everywhere. However, at the critical moment, there is a problem with these votes. I must apologize to Seraphina and the audience. I am sorry. I previously received information from Sterling, the operations manager of Starry Entertainment. He told me that Clara and Seraphina both belong to Starry Entertainment. If the gap between the two sides was too large, he asked me to cast a friendship vote for Clara, so she wouldn't lose too embarrassingly, but now it has actually allowed Clara to advance. I feel responsible because Seraphina was eliminated because of me today. I resigned from my position as a Star Melody Assembly mentor. Clara even directly announced her abstention, stating that Seraphina's Flower Sea far surpassed her own. As the truth came to light, the program director, Rin Xiao, stepped in to handle the crisis, announced a revote and the removal of the involved mentor. Ultimately, Seraphina successfully advanced. Afterward, Sterling was fired from Starry Entertainment. The involved mentor's reputation was also ruined. Two Music Father both Finals Dare Not 25, 1 minute Wu Mianza because of his Finals Dare Not 125, 13 minutes before, 1 minute Music Respect Mentor Q. Music Father Wu Mian Finals Dare Not 125, 18 minutes before, and issued a challenge to win in the finals Q. The media heavily promoted this showdown between the new and the old. When challenged, you did not back down. Shengshe Entertainment took the opportunity to invite Wu Mian to write a song for the finalist Miao Anyun. The keyword for the first round of the finals was tragic and terrifying. For Wu Mian, who excels in this style, it was a golden opportunity, but for you, it was a brand new challenge. Seraphina was very worried about this, but you appeared full of confidence. Seraphina even watched a horror movie with you. In the end, she was quite frightened. Instead, it led to a moment of intimacy between you two. The next day, you presented a new song. On the night of the finals, under the spotlight, Miao Anyun took the stage first. The first half of the song depicted the pain of cancer patients. The second half was oppressive instrumental music. Although it was somewhat obscure, Wu Mian was full of confidence. Then Seraphina took the stage, wearing a bright red wedding dress. The eru and pipa intertwined to create a mournful melody. The lyrics described a ghost marriage. Not a single word mentioned sadness. Yet it pushed the atmosphere to a climax. That bone-deep sorrow and fear made the entire audience's skin crawl. Seraphina's performance, without even blinking, led netizens to hail her as the most beautiful ghost bride, defeating the other contestant with an overwhelming advantage. Seraphina won decisively with 4 o'clock from the judges and 88 audience votes. Wu Mian was completely defeated, fulfilling his promise to give up the title of Godfather of Music and apologize. After the competition, you waited for Seraphina outside. Seraphina told you that Chloe had already left. Since she didn't have her apartment keys, you both wordlessly went to a hotel. The atmosphere in the hotel room was ambiguous and tense. You came out of the shower to find Seraphina crying. She opened up, feeling that she wasn't good enough for you. You gently cupped her face and told her that you used to be insecure too, that she was the one who gave you that feeling of falling in love, that all of this was the best arrangement from heaven. Your words about heaven's arrangement made Seraphina smile through her tears. You embraced tightly, finally understanding each other's hearts at this moment. Two hearts pressed together without reservation. You will face the road ahead hand in hand, facing both storms